Well, a tremendous Thursday afternoon. How are you? And welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, sports1440.ca. Live on the app for Stingray Radio Player or iHeartRadio. So wherever you're listening, watching, downloading the show, we very much appreciate having you along for the ride this Thursday afternoon. And as always, lots to discuss. Many people still buzzing about the start of Four Nations last night. Very intense game. Got Canadians right into it early. McDavid to Crosby to McKinnon. Boom, 1-0. And the Bell Center was rocking. And Jarvis to Point. Point, great play, finds Marchand. He scores. It's 2-0. Place is going bananas. But Sweden just slowly, they didn't even have a shot in the first 15 minutes. Like, I know it's crazy, but, Canada, if they look back in that game, the fact that they didn't get 3 points in this format, it might come back to haunt them. That's what's crazy about it. That's what makes the format great. You dominate for 50 minutes, you're only up 2-0. Probably would have liked another goal there. Then it's 2-1. Mark Stone scores a huge goal late in the second period. It's 3-1. And Canada's like, all right, let's lock it down. Didn't happen, which I like. I don't want it to be just locked down, set a trap, sit back, do nothing. That sucks. That's not how hockey should be played. So good it didn't happen. Canada had some chances, but Sweden scores. Obviously, the Kempe goal is not a great goal for Binnington. And they get to overtime. And overtime's exciting. I will say, and watching the overtime, and then more so the reaction later, because I wasn't on social media during the game. I just want to watch the game, folks. Enjoy it. And I'm seeing all these Oilers fans. McKinnon, puck hog, doesn't pass the puck. Can't believe he's shooting. These are the same Oiler fans that are like, why are the Oilers always overpassing on the 2-on-1s in overtime? Shoot the puck. Oh, it was classic. I don't mind him shooting the puck, man. Make a play. Right? Because what if he passed to McDavid? You think McDavid's shooting or is he going to try to give it back to him? I don't know what would happen. But the irony was not lost on me. The same fans were like, shoot the puck. Then when the guy shoots the puck, no, you got to pass it to McDavid. It was awesome. But, it was entertaining. Mitch Marner scores. Who knew? Who knew that all Mitch Marner needed to do to show up in a big game was get rid of the blue and white jersey? Hi-yo! Now, Marner didn't do much up until that goal. But you know what? Doesn't matter. It's a massive goal for Mitch Marner and Canada. But, because it's an overtime win, they get 2 points, Sweden gets a point. So now if you look at scenarios, let's assume USA beats Finland tonight. And let's just assume that it's in regulation. Okay? So then they got 3 points. They're in first place. Now you got US, Canada, Sweden, Finland on Saturday. Now, I think the Finns right now are a big underdog. Now, that doesn't mean they can't upset somebody, but they're a big underdog with their depleted defense core. We'll see how they look. They always show up. They play hard. I get it, but you still need some skill. And their D core just isn't that deep. So I'm going to assume all the three teams beat Finland. So if Canada loses to the U.S., not only do they have to beat Finland, they're going to need the U.S. to beat Sweden. Because if the U.S. beats Finland and Canada, both in regulation, Canada can't catch the U.S. And then if the Swedes beat Finland, and then they manage to beat the U.S., well, guess what? Even if Canada beats Finland, they can't. So I've seen a lot of people saying, well, if they lose to the U.S., that's just a must-win game against Finland. Well, yeah, it's a must-win game against Finland, but that doesn't guarantee you in. All depends and what if you're the Americans and you're up 2-0 and you're guaranteed locked in? You've won both in regulation, so you're punched your ticket. Your Monday game means nothing. But if you lose to Sweden, they get in. I mean, Sweden gets in. Like, could you imagine? So, yeah, there's still lots and lots to play out in this tournament, and that's what makes the Saturday game even more entertaining to me. So, it's going to be fantastic. Looking forward to it. Should be a great time. I know there were some people beforehand. I'm not really sure about the tournament. I didn't really understand it. That's fine. Especially the suggestion, wow, it's not going to be intense. I'm like, what are you talking about? World Cup games, Canada Cup games, highly intense. And that's what we saw last night. That was great hockey. What did Drew Doughty say? Man, that was one of the fastest games I played in. And it was quick. Now, Canada, obviously, the bad news was the Shea Theodore injury. He's out for the tournament. And he's listed as week to week. So he'll likely miss some time with Vegas. And I know, see, guys get injured. Yeah, Sidney Crosby got hurt on a nothing play at the end of just before the break. Look at Miro Heiskanen. He's out for the rest of the year. What did that happen? January 28th? Like, unfortunately, injuries can happen at any point. At any point. And, that play by Shea Theodore, it's not like it was a dangerous play. It's not like you're playing in a game now and you got guys headhunting. It was just unfortunate. And so, I hope for him he's out, but it's a little bit of a loss for Canada. Now, Sanheim comes in from Philly. And if you look at puck moving, mobility, and everything like that, Theodore's a little bit better of a skater. But, Sanheim, 23 even strength points in Philly. You've got Theodore with 29. But Vegas is the third highest scoring 5-on-5 team in the NHL, and Philly's 19th. Right? You got a little bit more skill up and down the lineup in Vegas for Theodore to move the puck to. So that is a factor, no question. But Sanheim comes in, and it'll be a nice break for the other 5 defensemen because they played a lot of minutes in that game. It's a fast-paced game. It was fun to watch. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But give the Swedes credit, man. They battled back. They came in, they didn't give up, and they were down 2-0. They're down 3-1, and they made it a game, which is awesome. That's what you want. Loved it. So we'll talk more about that today on the program. Also got a great lineup. David Amber will join us. Paul Sir will talk a little basketball. Merrick will be by at around 3:15. We got Livingston in the racing report. Terry Ryan, Steve Ellis, Mark Spector, also a head coach of the Elks, Mark Killam. So, man, hey, 4-hour sports show. We're going across. We're talking hockey. We're talking a little football. We'll mix in some racing as well as a little b-ball. So it's fantastic. As always, we'll take your thoughts. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440 in our inbox. Hey, guys, I've never had any problem with any player shooting the puck. Too bad Connor doesn't shoot more. From Nick. Greg's, I thought the exact same thing. Fans want McDavid to shoot more, and they're crying about McDavid shooting. Where has being a fan in Canada gone? The people got to whine and cry about everything. And the crowd booing the sweet players. Why? Well, because, Steve, the last part's because they're the rivalry. Right? Booing isn't this big sign of disrespect. Right? Come on. It's sports. It's fun. Like, booing doesn't hurt anyone. Right? They also booed Austin Matthews when he got introduced because they're still Canadian fans, right? And they're Canadian fans, if you know what I mean. Canadian with an A, Canadian with an E. So now he's an American and he plays for the Leafs. It's a double whammy. I love it. I want some emotion. Like, what? Are we complaining about booing? Come on. You can't complain about people whining about shooting and then say, well, they shouldn't boo. Right? I don't have a problem with it. I just thought it was comical that the Order fans who yell at McDavid to shoot were then mad that McKinnon shot. It's awesome. Hey, but you're passionate, so it's all good. Hey, guys, I didn't love Marner with McDavid. I did not like the fourth line. Well, it's one game. I can't, I thought McDavid was flying in the first period. You know what? Even so much in the second. Didn't notice him as much in the third. Right? But hey, when it's best on best, you're not going to dominate every shift like you do in the NHL. It's just not going to happen. But those first 15 minutes, man, like McDavid was shot out of a cannon. He was dangling all over the place. And, there's actually a few places where I would have liked him to shoot, ironically enough. So, you know what? Hey, they'll, that line, obviously you'd like him to produce. It's one game. And, if you go back and look, man, like when it's best on best, you got to lower your expectations as far as I know. Hey, Sidney Crosby had a 3-point game. Fantastic. Go back and look at Sidney Crosby's production in 2010 up until the golden goal. Right? Like it's not, and Sidney Crosby had come off back-to-back Stanley Cups, right? He's a pretty good player. But in this tournament, man, it's harder to produce. There's more skill around, and so you can get goals from lots of different spots in your lineup, which is great. And I love it. But, McDavid, I loved his game early on. At times, yeah, him and Marner, it's hard when you have two practices. That's why I said back in December, me personally, I would have had Zach Hyman on the team. He knows how to play with McDavid. So when you know it's a short tournament and guys they picked weren't, it's not like Zach Hyman has the 5th most goals in the last 3 years amongst Canadian players. He had a slow start, even though his shots and chances were there, just wasn't finishing. And that's why they didn't pick him on the team. Like, I still don't get it. But like for me, I said it before the tournament, I would have had Scheifele and Hyman, and I wouldn't have had Bennett and Konechny. Just me. And so now Bennett wasn't playing. So, you know what? Then someone else coming out, and that's fine. And, you know what? Hey, would I be shocked if Reinhart, McDavid, and Marner have, you know, combined on 2 goals on Saturday? No, because they're skilled. But, you know, in a short tournament, it's going to be hard to produce every game. So you hope that line, who was on the ice for 1 goal, will 5-on-5. And Marner did produce, you know what? And that goal could give him a huge boost of confidence. So it's what makes it great. Hey, Gregor, Theodore's injury is actually a blessing for Vegas. Now they don't have to dream up an injury to put Stone in LTIR. Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's that serious long term for Vegas. And having Theodore out of the lineup, you know what? You know who that's a benefit to? The Edmonton Oilers, because you're battling Vegas for first place in the Pacific Division. So it's great. Guys, what was your thoughts on the Stone play that knocked out Heiskanen? Pushed in a bit, but still greasy. I was thinking Ferraro, and he thought it was dirty. Can you ask him the next time he's on, please? Thanks, from Chad. Yeah, you know what? I was gone, so I only watched 1 replay of the hit, and I'd like to watch more. I probably should go back and revisit it on the play. So, like, Mark Stone, intense player, doesn't have a reputation of being a dirty player, but that doesn't mean you can't make 1 dirty play. So I'd need to watch. Maybe I'll watch it again during the break to get a few different angles to make a better informed comment on it. I don't know if he was diving to take the guy's knee out at that point, but I haven't seen enough. Only watched it the one time when I got back in, and that was it. Hey, Gregor, the Marner goal doesn't count in your world of no over and back. Crosby passed it back from inside the blue line behind the center line. Yeah, exactly. That's fine. I don't care. All I'm saying, 2 things I would change for overtime in the future. 10 minutes. I love it. We've talked about this before, Collins, on the show. And I would eliminate over and back. Right? I don't like it. Now, if you want to have it that you can pass it back and the guy comes up, fine. But when the guy skates, and we see it, and they're in the offensive zone, they zoom back out into the neutral zone, then all the way down. It's just a waste of time and nothing is happening. It sucks. I want 3-on-3 to be aggressive and attacking. Right? Now, if you want to exit the zone and come out between the blue line and the red line, fine. Right? It's over and back. It's center, just like in basketball. I think it would make the game way better because too often we see it and it's boring. Like, look at the first minute of overtime last night. Nothing happened. Nothing. They just circled back up and down the ice. The game's better when you get guys going and exchanging some chances. It just is. And 10 minutes, like, hey, when the best player in the world says afterwards, man, something the players want, this should be an easy change for the NHL. I love that they experimented in a big tournament. The best players, hopefully it's something that comes next year. I don't know anybody out there who would think that 5 minutes in a shootout is better than 10 minutes. Cons? Anyone? Like, is there anybody who's like, no, I just want 5 in a shootout. I'd rather 10 minutes all day long because it's going to decrease the shootouts.
Totally with you. And you know what? I mean, I think it gives an opportunity for guys further down in the lineup. Like if the top 2 pairings need to take a little bit of an extended break, catch their breath, gives you an opportunity to show off your team's depth, give different players a chance to be the hero. I think it could make for some cool storylines and some really entertaining hockey. So yeah, the fatigue might play a factor into it, but last night was awesome. And especially in a tournament like this, where you have so many good players where you can just kind of roll them out. I loved it.
Yeah. You know what? You think about it. Each team has at least 6 forwards you could comfortably put on the ice in overtime. Easily. So, I mean, heck, Connor Brown was on in overtime, scored a goal for the Oilers. Because why? He's a good skater. So you have lots of guys who could do it. I'd be all for it. We'll take a quick break. We'll talk more hockey with Dave and Amber. Also, a big no for me on one of the trade rumors involving the Edmonton Oilers. We'll get to that as well on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Ooh, girl, the way you touch that thermostat really turns me on. Like a heat exchanger, sensual phenomenon. Wanna play your favorite favorite song where we turn the heating on like a legacy of love.
Legacy Heating and Cooling keeps your Valentine sizzling hot. You can afford to shower your Valentine with affection because Legacy offers no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new furnace. And that's how you build your legacy of love. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
The locks are on a timer. They're going to get out.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Service team reporting. With the remarkable reach of our bucket trucks and other equipment, we assess, service, and maintain your electrical lighting and automation systems.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Roses are red, violets are blue. To heat things up this Valentine's Day, a Papa John's pizza will certainly do. Flowers are nice, but so is a slice of delicious handcrafted pizza made with fresh ingredients. Right now, get a medium 2-topping pizza and your choice of dessert for only $25.99. Order today at papajohns.ca or through the Papa John's app using the promo code LOVEDAY. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
It's the season for love, and you're about to fall hard for the vehicle of your dreams. Presenting the outstanding 2025 XC90 from Volvo Cars Edmonton. Right now, you can lease your 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $4,600. Or finance a 2025 XC60 from 1.49% and save $1,500. All while being deeply infatuated by the newly upgraded, highly attractive body and wheel design. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. 1205 101 Street Southwest.
It's the final weekend of the Bricks Friends and Family Sale. Get up to 25% off sofas, love seats, and sectionals. Up to 25% off bedroom and dining. Buy more, save more. Up to $1,000 off major kitchen appliances. And save up to $500 on big screen TVs. Plus, upgrade your sleep with a queen mattress for the price of a twin. Last chance to save like their friends and family. Some exclusions apply. Visit thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Planning for your future. Vision Credit Union makes it simple with 2 RRSP options to fit your goals. Choose a secure term deposit RRSP with guaranteed returns or a mutual fund RRSP offering higher growth potential with exciting opportunities. With an RRSP, you'll save on your 2024 taxes, grow your investments tax-free, and get closer to your dreams, whether it's retirement or your first home. Don't wait. The deadline to qualify for 2024 tax deductions is March 3rd. Learn more at visioncu.ca.
Her work pulls her in 8 different directions. Her family constantly leans on her. She spends what little free time she has worrying about everyone else. But even though her life isn't always easy, she still makes time to brighten your day with a smile. Valentine's Day is your chance to do the same for her. The best beautiful bouquet from Bunches Flowers would sure do it. Petals that pop, colors that catch the eye, and the fragrance of a spring bloom.
They're gorgeous.
Pre-order now at bunchesflowers.com.
Your courtside seat awaits on Sports 1440. I'm Paul Sir, and I host the basketball show every Saturday morning from 10 to noon on Edmonton's sports leader, Sports 1440. Don't miss it. I'll catch you this weekend.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Watch every Oilers game at OTR with $5.25 Molson Canadian, $5 Pink Whitney shots, and 60-cent wings. Plus, play Oilers Score and Win for your chance to win On the Rocks gift cards. Oilers Hockey at OTR. Book your table today. Jasper Ave in 118th.
Talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.221, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440. Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. The Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game. And today, guess what? You have a grand, the daily grand, where you can get $1,000 a day. every day for the next 20 years. Or their rapid jackpot is up to 1.5 million. Good luck at playalberta.ca. As we go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's and the showdown at McDonald's. Hey, it's on the ice, but it's getting even better off the ice. You want to try the smoky quarter pappy or the Big Mac David, mix in a triple cheeseburger, or you want to try their new poutine fries. Do it now, limited time only, the showdown menu at McDonald's. And to talk about Four Nations and some other NHL news, David Amber, Hockey Night in Canada host, joins us once again. David, welcome back to the show, man. How you doing?
It's a good time to be a hockey fan. Last night was a lot of fun.
Oh, it's exactly what I expected. Like, I was shocked that some people thought this wouldn't be intense. I'm like, what are you talking about? We got 4 great countries. Like, we're basically, this is just playoff rounds. You're bypassing the prelims of the Olympics when you got 12 teams just for seeding. This is now like, hey, because, Canada won last night. But that, even if they beat Finland, they're not guaranteed to get to the final.
No, this is with no margins like this, Jason. I mean, anything can happen. We saw last night. Who would have thought Canada, after those first 10 minutes, would need overtime to beat Sweden and maybe a little bit of puck luck as well? Nylander at one point in overtime had the puck on his stick. Ekholm, did the wraparound around the net. I think if he hadn't pushed the puck out front and he actually just tried to tuck it in, I think he had Binnington beat to the post. Who would have thought that? These teams on any given night, one game, Saros is hot tonight, they could beat the U.S. I don't think that's going to happen, but could it happen? Absolutely. There's no guarantees. And, I don't want to go down too crazy a rabbit hole. We're one game into this tournament. But having said that, the math, we'll see what the math looks like as we head towards the 2 games on Saturday. So let's see what happens tonight. But there is a scenario where Canada could win 2 games. And because they didn't win in regulation versus Sweden, they don't make it to the championship. A lot would have to fall into place. But my point being, the margins are so incredibly small in this tournament, anything could happen.
Oh, yeah. You're right about the first 15 minutes. Canada was absolutely all over them. And, they had a 2-0 lead. They kind of blew that. They had a 3-1 lead. So we look at that. Yeah, it's great that Canada got the win, but they can't be happy about the fact that they blew 2 2-goal leads.
Yeah, I mean, listen, no one expected it to be easy. No one took Sweden lightly. Gustafsson made some big saves when he needed to. He certainly had no chance on the first 2 goals, like 0 chance. And we all know how good that blue line is, a formidable blue line. And to top all of that, Canada was playing with 5 defensemen for the last 2 periods plus overtime. So you factor all of those things in, and again, anything could happen. I'm sure they're going back and looking through some of the things. I bet you John Cooper and his coaching staff are taking a long, hard look, not just at the defensive pairings that are going to have to shuffle now with Sanheim drawing in, but also the forward groups. Did he like what he got from all 4 units? Is there some shuffling that could potentially take place? You're happy with the win, but adjustments are a key part to a short series like this. I wonder if Sam Bennett draws in against the U.S. That wouldn't shock me, right? They've got Miller and the Kachuk brothers who can reap all sorts of havoc. They have the biggest group of players in the tournament. That's what you're going up against. You certainly want someone who has the physical presence and the ability to push back if it comes down to a situation. So, I'm not saying guys are dropping the gloves or it's going to be anything like that. I just mean Sam Bennett could provide some of that physical presence and that not intimidation is the wrong word, but you understand what I'm getting at. So I think there's going to be all sorts of adjustments based on yesterday's game.
Well, and the fact that the 4th line was on for 2 goals against, I think you combine a lot of things here that, it's kind of easy. We know Sanheim's coming in for Theodore. What about goaltending? Does he go to Hill or does he stick with Binnington?
That's the great debate. John Cooper, I think, met with the media about an hour ago. I left the rink to go back to the hotel to start prepping for tonight's game. I haven't seen on anything pass on social media to let me know if he's gone, but if he's, declared who the starter is. He doesn't really need to. It's Thursday. The game's not till Saturday. We debated this in our post-game coverage. Kevin Bieksa said, let's try out Adin Hill. You have a Stanley Cup pedigree goaltender who, if he falls short on Saturday, you can always go back to Binnington, who has a win under his belt. And I'm sort of in Kevin's camp. I think Binnington's played well at times. And when, you certainly have to point out how well he played in overtime. Having said that, had he played better in regulation time, they might not have needed overtime. So, you can look at it 2 different ways. Elliott and Ron and I believe Kelly were all in the camp of, you run back Binnington. He's got the confidence. He's a big game player, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm very interested to see what they do, goaltending as well as line shifts. And listen, you guys and your audience, I don't need to tell you guys this, but Connor McDavid he was electric last night. I was sure he was going to score at some point. He was all over the ice. Every time the puck was on his stick, the crowd went into this crescendo, the Bob Cole, oh my God, something's happening. It was one of those moments. But he's not the easiest guy to play with. And what I mean by that is he's so good. He does everything at warp speed. He needs guys who know where to go when McDavid has the puck, and he also needs guys to get him the puck at the time he wants it. And, for Reinhart and Marner, there was some work involved there for them. And I'm wondering, and this is just me wondering, does he feel like a Braden Point would be a better complement there? Are there other players that maybe complement McDavid better? Because it's great. I don't think you're going to do anything with the McKinnon Crosby line. And certainly I'm not sure you're going to do anything with the McDavid line, but I just wonder if they're going to try and mix things up, as you alluded to.
Yeah, maybe. I thought the Jarvis Point Marchand line was actually pretty solid. So I think that's probably why he'll stick. Yeah. But I think as the game goes, he might move some things around for sure. The goaltending one's intriguing to me because, Binnington played really well in overtime, but the Kempe goal, you just can't let in a game like that, right? It's 3-1. You let in a goal from there that, your goalie should save. And, then it's a 3-1 game and they probably don't even go to overtime.
Yeah, and listen, that's not to put it all on Binnington. And this was the storyline coming into this tournament. How would Canada's goaltending fare against three teams who arguably have more consistent goaltending, certainly this year? And that storyline still exists. I think Binnington, again, played well and probably put some minds at ease. And, as the point you just made, he could have played better. And he would be the first to say, yeah, I could have played better. So that leaves this up. There's going to be a lot of conversation, I imagine, amongst the coaching group about, where to put whom. How, the nice thing of having 2 days rest before a game where you rode 5 defensemen and you went into overtime is, you're probably going to have to ride Cale Makar for 28 minutes, even if it doesn't go to overtime on Saturday versus the U.S. You might have to ride Devin Taves for 25 minutes. Like, that's the thing. They're going to have to figure these things out. How hard can you ride McKinnon? How hard can you ride McDavid? Drew Doughty, who's played, I don't know how many games, but he's been in the league, 16 years or something, 17 years. He's played in 2 Olympics. He's won 2 Stanley Cups. This guy's played a lot of meaningful hockey. He comes off the ice last night. He says, that's the fastest game I've ever participated in.
Yeah.
Wow. And I talked to the players today. We went down to the rink. I talked to Finland. I had a chance to talk to Finland. I had a chance to talk to the U.S. And essentially those players, they said, yeah, it looked like it was being played in rapid pace, even on television. So having been there, I'm telling you, when McKinnon, and you guys saw this, I'm sure, when McKinnon or McDavid was picking up the puck, and Makar for that matter, in stride, oh my goodness. The game was at just a warp speed, and it was exhausting to watch. And now you're going to at least have 2 days to sort of rest and figure that out if you're Canada.
Yeah, I think they liked lots of their game, part of it, and then there's some areas they want to tighten up as per usual. I look at the game tonight, and I just look at Finland, David, and to me they're the underdog by far in this tournament, especially with the injuries to Heiskanen and Ristolainen on their back end. Like, they might have one defenseman, Esa Lindell. Well, he's the only one who might be able to play in another team in this tournament. The other 5, no chance they'd make any of the rosters. So, you look at Finland, if they're going to upset one of Canada or the U.S. or even Sweden, how do they go about it?
Well, I guess the obvious answer would be UC Saros, right? You need a goalie maybe to steal a game, and we've seen that happen before. We don't have to look any further than the Sochi Olympics when Dominic Hasek basically just, Canada did everything in its power to win that game in the semis versus the Czech Republic, and Hasek was like, no, we're having none of this. And that was it, right? And then he ended up winning gold. Like, they were just so good behind that goalie. So maybe it's a UC Saros moment. I don't think it's going to come down to their blue line. I think the Heiskanen injury, as bad as the Quinn Hughes injury is, the U.S. have a formidable 2 through 6 to fall back on after Quinn Hughes. Finland's missing Heiskanen, and the drop-off is appreciable between him and the next guys, as you mentioned. So they're not going to do it with their blue line. One thing they have is this. They have a little bit of pedigree, right? They have 11 guys who've won gold medals wearing the Finnish sweater, whether it's World Championships or World Juniors. They have 4 members of the Florida Panthers, so they have a certain built-in chemistry. They certainly have some top-end forward groups, you know, when you look at the likes of Rantanen and Aho, et cetera. Like, they have some really nice pieces. Whether they're going to be able to ride that out against a very strong U.S. team that many are picking to win this tournament, I don't think is likely. But to steal a game, you're going to need your stars to be stars and maybe have some penalties go against the U.S. if they play any brand of undisciplined hockey and allow Finland with the man advantage to take full advantage of those opportunities. That would be the only thing I could see leading to a Finland win tonight.
David Amber joins us from Hockey Night in Canada. David, the bad news for Canada, Shea Theodore gets injured. He's out of the tournament. Initial reports are week to week. Now, according to the rules, Canada if they want to have another player around, he can be around the Boston area, but he can't practice with the team. Do you think they'll change that? Like, it kind of seems odd. Like, why wouldn't you allow them to bring in another body just for practice in case of an injury? Seems kind of dumb.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. Elliot was trying to flesh this out last night, and the last I heard, based on Elliot's reporting, which obviously is thorough, is I think you have to be down, to 18 skaters. Like, they don't want to make this into a joke. Imagine if there was 3 more injuries against the U.S. You're not going to field a team of 13 skaters and call it a tournament. But I think they could be in a scenario where they have 13 healthy forwards and 5 healthy defensemen. In other words, they could lose another defenseman on Saturday, and the rules, I guess, the way they're put right now, they wouldn't be allowed to fill that spot. But once you get below 18 healthy skaters, then you're allowed to bring in substitutes. That's what I think, based on the reporting. And please don't quote me on this exactly. I think people need to go check out Elliot's Twitter feed or whatever. But I think that's what I'm understanding the situation to be. If you get fewer than 18 healthy bodies, then you can call in reinforcements. But until that time, you got to ride the guys you have. So if you lose 2 or 3 blue liners, so be it. You're going to have to ride with what you have left. And same thing with the forward group. So let's hope that doesn't happen. You hate to see that, right? Like, he's heartbroken. Just these guys were sacrificing their personal time. This is a dream come true for Shea Theodore. This was, you talked to him on the media day the day before, and he was saying he's so excited. This is like the Stanley Cup final for him, and it gets pulled out, 21 minutes into it. So feel horrible for him. He's going to miss some time, and you certainly want to see guys walk out of here healthy, because that will end up being a storyline if we have a number of significant injuries which impact the Stanley Cup playoffs as well.
Yeah, well, he's only week to week, so I think he should be fine.
Yeah.
Now, I did actually talk to one of the managers, and they said if you lose a defenseman, even though you still have 13 forwards, they'll let you bring in another defenseman. They're not going to make you play 13 and 5. So that's good news. But right now, the extra guy, like if they wanted to call in, pick the name, Uyghur, for instance, or a left defenseman, whoever it was, they can't bring in. He can't practice with the team. And I'm guessing by 2028, that rule will be changed, because you don't want, there's no reason to have anybody shorthanded at this point. It doesn't make any sense, right? Like, to rush somebody in if you get an injury let's say you get an injury on Saturday, now you got to find the guy, rush him in, sure, he'd still get there, right? But what if some guy's on holidays? Like, it just, to me, it seems kind of odd that you'd wait till the last minute to do it.
100%. The PA was trying to be respectful, Jason, to the guys' private time, in the sense of, this is why they had to declare the 6 guys early and then declare the rest of their team fairly early. I had a couple of people say, why couldn't they wait till the last week? And, a guy like Zach Hyman or a guy like Mark Scheifele or whomever had played their way back onto the team. And it was to be respectful to those guys and what their private time would be like, so they don't end up, people make plans. They have kids, et cetera. And a lot of these guys are away. So I'm interested to see. I really hope that doesn't come into play, because if it comes into play, it means we've had more injuries. So I'm hopeful Canada and all the other nations can run with the guys they have now, but that's certainly becoming a bit more of a topic, and it was very topical post-game. So I'm glad it's getting fleshed out, and thank you for the clarification there.
David Amber joins us. David, the Heiskanen injury, obviously brutal for the Dallas Stars, brutal for Team Finland, bigger for the Stars, I would think. But how aggressive do you think Jim Nill is? Like, he's got a lot of money now all of a sudden in LTR, and they said month to month, which we rarely hear for a player. So probably not coming back for the regular season. And like Seth Jones is from Dallas, and we know where Chicago's going. Do you think Jim Nill takes the big swing there and says, you know what, let's go here, because this could be the only time that we could have Heiskanen and Jones back, where really only one of them's counting on the cap?
I think 100% Jim Mill's going to be aggressive. I know that group feels this is their window. Now is their time. Unless I'm mistaken, did they not make a deal? Was it CC and Granlund? They did something.
Yeah, they got CC and Granlund, but they still got Heiskanen on his LTIR. Like now they know he's out, right? So
and Sagan, they have I think $9.5 million for Sagan, who they've got the cap space to spend. And from what I understand, Jim Mill's a very shrewd guy with reigning GM of the year and all the rest. He's the kind of guy who will sit back and he's going to wait. And I think the reason you wait is right now, if you were to ask the 32 GMs who's in, who's out, who's a buyer, who's a seller, there might only be 7 or 8 teams that go, yeah, we're definitively selling. And there's still 24 teams going, oh, my team deserves to be added, whatever the owner wants us to make a run to the place, whatever the case may be. In 2 weeks, even a team like the Flames, who I know went out and got Farabee and Frost, if you look at the Flames schedule in the 3 weeks after Four Nations and preceding the trade deadline, it's absolutely brutal. Like it's a murderer's row of teams. And if they go 2-6, Craig Conroy go to trade deadline might suddenly say, you know what, Rasmus Anderson is available maybe for the right price. And that's the kind of guy, if you're Jim Mill, you might want to go out and target. I mean, imagine adding Rasmus Anderson to that Dallas defense and knowing that Heiskanen could be back for the playoffs. That would be incredible, right? So I think he just might take the time he has. I definitely think they're going to go out and make a big rush and a big move for sure.
David, the U.S. Team USA, which player do you think has the like Crosby had the great night last night for Canada? Mm-hmm. Who do you think stands out for U.S. tonight?
You know what? I'm going to say Kyle Connor. He just flies a little bit under the radar. He's so incredibly good. I don't know why he flies under the radar as much as he does. He's a 7-time 30 goal scorer. I don't have it in front of me. I don't know how many 7-time 30 goal scorers are currently in the NHL. Not that many. Like the guy, all he does is score goals. He has an incredible shot. They had him out on PP1, on a flank. They had Matthew Tkachuk net front presence. You have Eichel on one side and you have Connor on the other. I mean, you have so many options there. I could see Connor having a big night, and I could see him having a big tournament, quite frankly. And the U.S. I can't wait till Saturday. I'm almost like I have anxiety, almost like an anxiousness. The perfect scenario might be like a 5-1 U.S. win tonight, and that just sets up such an incredible, this incredible force that's the U.S. and the Canadian team that, is the hometown favorite, or however you want to put it, and those two forces going head-to-head on Saturday. So I could see Kyle Connor having a big night, and I could see just setting the stage for what will be a really epic Saturday where we have 2 games, and people sleep on the rivalry that's Finland and Sweden. It's as acrimonious and vengeful and angry a hockey relationship as you could have. These guys, it's not like, well, they don't like each other. I get it. A lot of these guys play on the same teams and all the rest. But when you put on the Sweden sweater, you put on the Finland sweater, there is some hate that goes with that. And I cannot wait to witness that. That's the great appetizer before Canada-US Saturday night.
Dave, great stuff, man. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the food in Montreal.
Yeah, I'm doing those things. And this is really, it's a nice way to break up the season. We'll come back, Jason, and it'll be a couple weeks till trade deadline, and then the push to the playoffs, and then away we go, and hopefully another long Oilers run. So I'm pumped for it all, and I hope everyone's tuning in and enjoying the coverage we're bringing. So thanks again.
That's David Amber from Hockey Night in Canada. Of course, you have USA and Finland tonight. Then Friday is a day off, and then Saturday's doubleheader. Canada-US, Sweden and Finland is the early game, and then Canada-US will be the late game. Puck drop around 6:15 Edmonton time on Saturday. Something tells me many of you will be watching that game. You get excited on Saturday night, but you get a little bit more when it's Canada and against their biggest rival right now. Should be great. Quick break. We'll return. We'll talk about some trades and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
I'm Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
And I'm Zach Hyman.
And when we're not making juicy, sweet passes
or having my goals disallowed,
we're working for Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Guys used to call me a plumber.
And now they call you an HVAC technician.
Nice.
Hey, guys, you're not here to install furnaces. You're here to sing the jingle.
Oh.
Well, okay.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
No payments and no interest for 1 year from qualified installers. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
We've finished construction of our gamma radiation containment facility. Is it up to code? Is it going to be safe?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Testing team reporting. We test your commercial operations using tools like infrared to ensure safe operation. Trust us to prevent potential calamity before it strikes.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net. Roses are red, violets are blue. To heat things up this Valentine's Day, a Papa John's pizza will certainly do. Flowers are nice, but so is a slice of delicious handcrafted pizza made with fresh ingredients. Right now, get a medium 2-topping pizza and your choice of dessert for only $25.99. Order today at papajohns.ca or through the Papa John's app using the promo code LOVEDAY. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches. We provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, contact Ted Nakamura at 780-940-0880 or visit silentrides.ca.
Your courtside seat awaits on Sports 1440. I'm Paul Sir, and I host the Basketball Show every Saturday morning from 10 to noon on Edmonton's sports leader, Sports 1440. Don't miss it. I'll catch you this weekend.
For years now, we've been warning Edmontonians on the hazards of our stormwater facilities. While they may appear to look like still ponds, there is moving water beneath the surface, which makes the ice dangerously... The unpredictability of stormwater facilities makes them treacherously unsafe for all winter activities, even walking. So think twice. Don't go on the ice. A safety message from EPCOR.
When you live in northern Alberta, you need a vehicle that is built for this climate. That's the all-new 2025 Jeep Compass, and you'll find it at St. Albert Dodge. Now, what can I say? It's a Jeep. It's a 4x4, so it's totally at home driving on snow and ice. And it's got some great standard features like an 8.4-inch touchscreen, keyless entry, and heated front seats. As I said, northern Alberta. And all starting from just $34,900. Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by playalberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
It's your love. Oh, lovely Thursday. How are you? Just fired up, man. It's always good. It's like playoff game last night. But it wasn't. But it was high intensity and just I don't care. I watch baseball, playoffs, basketball, football, I love volleyball. Doesn't matter. When there's more on the line, it's just more fun to watch. I find as a sports fan, you naturally get more into it. It's great. Win or lose. It's more entertaining to watch, and looking forward to USA Finland tonight, and then of course Canada and the US, and even the Swedes and Finns. Man, that's a huge rivalry. Like it's a great to watch both of those games on Saturday. Should be awesome. And then of course a doubleheader on Monday, which likely is going to have huge impact depending on what happens here over the next few days. Because let's say Canada loses to US, whatever, and US beats Finland, well then they're guaranteed in. But Canada, even if they beat Finland, what if Sweden beats the U.S. on Monday? And the U.S. has nothing to play for, theoretically. Ooh, spicy. So lots of scenarios still to unfold. Now, if Canada beats the U.S., they put themselves in a pretty good position. Pretty good. Let's talk lots of trades, lots of trade rumors, and more as we get to our NBA report brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home with no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. Book now at legacyheating.ca. Paul Sir, host of the basketball show, Saturdays, noon to 12 here on Sports 1440. Joins us. And Paul, I haven't spoke to you since the massive trade for Luka Doncic and for the LA Lakers. Does it make the Lakers a legit contender or just a really good team?
I think it will make them a legit contender over the next weeks. Jason, it's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds as Luka gets healthier, hopefully, because you can see he's still hobbled. And as optimistic as everyone was after the big win on the opening night with Luka and LeBron together, they turned around and got worked by an undermanned Dallas Maverick team last night. So they're going to be a work in progress. And with their trade for Williams from the Hornets falling through because of his body just not being up to the challenge, They have a big gaping hole in the middle, but so does Dallas, because the Anthony Davis trade. My gosh, what talk about karma? That's brutal, and we can get to that in a bit. But overall, I think too early to tell whether they're going to be a contender or not. Let's just see how Luka recovers, and if they can plug the middle up enough to really make a deep playoff run.
Because even if they're fully healthy and Luka gets healthy, I look at them and say, man, you give me OKC or Denver's rosters in the playoffs, I'll take both of them.
100%. Totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Lakers are not them at all. And you see Denver rounding into shape. Jamal, of course, having that spectacular 55-point outing. And Jokic continuing to play at his MVP level. I pick them in OKC, my gosh, especially if Holmgren can stay healthy. They right now, you just have to say they're the team to beat in the NBA.
Yeah, for sure. Looking at Canadians and 50 points in a game here lately. I think it's, is it 4 Tuesdays in a row or something ridiculous, 4 Thursdays? It's just been like an onslaught of points here from some of the Canadians' best players.
Yeah, this is new territory for Canadian pros in the NBA to score in the stratosphere like this, and it's exciting to see. Gilgeous-Alexander, I think, has established himself slightly ahead of Jokic for the MVP race, and he is scoring in big bunches with regularity, over 50 points a couple of times. To see Jamal come around like this, where he's been up and down this season, but as I said before, Denver, not only is Denver rounding into form, Jamal Murray is rounding into form. And then last night against Portland, holy smokes, did he have a breakout night? 20 for 36. I mean, that's a big night, 7 threes, and just locked in, focused. And the rim was like the whole free throw circle is the way that Jamal was shooting it last night. It was just huge. So the Canadians continue to emerge and establish themselves among the league's elite, and very, very big step forward for what I think is the example to young Canadian players about how good you can be, and you can be among the very best of the very best.
Like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he's got to be the leader for the MVP right now, does he not?
Oh, I think so. Yeah. I say it with a little bit of, the only hesitation is this: Jokic is having such a monster year too, but his year and his team's, his year is, you can make a case for him, but his team lags behind the unbelievable record of the Thunder. So you have to give credit where credit's due. Gilgeous-Alexander putting up the numbers he's putting up night after night, leading a Thunder team which really has had an unbelievable season and continues to beat everybody. And that's not just the weak sisters in the league. Everybody, when they play Oklahoma City, is in trouble. And their record's just incredible.
Yeah, it is. Paul Sir joins us. Paul, looking at the Dallas Mavericks and, moving Luka Doncic, and I've read some stories that make me kind of shake my head. And the business, now all of a sudden, if you have a sign that says "Fire Nico," you get kicked out of the building. Like it's beyond ridiculousness right now for me what that organization is doing.
It is. I agree. You can't even make it up. You can't even believe in 2025 that you have a professional sports organization worth billions of dollars in one of the most prestigious sports leagues in the world behaving like they're at an elementary school somewhere and trying to protect some teacher from being criticized. It was a strange trade, and that is the most kind description you could offer. It made no sense to anybody. Nobody said, "Oh, I get it. I know why they would have done that." And then the insinuations that the owners have been quoted in the media about cutting Luka down, making him sound like he wasn't a great teammate, which nobody on the Dallas Mavericks I've heard agrees with at all. And then this silliness of kicking people out because they have a little sign criticizing the GM for making such a ridiculous trade. Add on to that, Jason, you get the player you traded for, definitely a first-team All-NBA player, but the big if is if he stays healthy. And wouldn't you know it, he goes down in the first game with the Mavericks and will be out most likely at least a month. And then the other post, Gafford, goes down. So now a team that had 3 posts has none.
Yeah.
You can't make it up.
No, it is crazy. Over in the East, where Cleveland it just continues to roll, which I think some people thought they'd fall off, and they really haven't done it. Now they've got a 5-game lead on the Boston Celtics. I think some people still think the Celtics are better, but like, it's 54 games now. Are you a believer in Cleveland, or are you still skeptical?
I'm a believer. I think they're having a phenomenal regular season. 28 games to go. If they continue to play even close to how they played through the first 54, it will be a historical, remarkable season. It's just those darn playoffs get in the way. And there are just, the roadside is littered with the white crosses of teams with great regular season records who flame out in the playoffs. And Cleveland's going to have to prove it. The Celtics are the team to beat, even no matter what the regular season results are, short of catastrophic injuries with the Boston Celtics. But the Celtics have, they're the defending champions. They're playing better. Again, they've had some injuries, but overall they're not too unhealthy. Porzingis has been relatively healthy, at least a good part of the season. So, am I a believer in Cleveland? I think they're good. And the trade they made for Williams from Atlanta was a great trade. They're positioning themselves for playoff success. But now they got to prove it when the pressure's on and the spotlight's on them, and it's a 7-game series.
Yeah, the trade deadline's coming past now. What about the Knicks and the Pacers? What do you make of those two teams heading in? I know they still got about 20, a third of the season left, but what do you make of those two teams? Are they close to Cleveland and Boston in your eyes? Are they a significant step below? What do you think?
Pacers are, to this juncture, a significant step below because they lose to teams badly that have far worse records than them. So I'm not a believer in Indiana so far this year. Like you said, there's 28 games left. There's still a lot of basketball to be played. They can pull it together, and they made a nice run last year as to get to the playoffs. If a team gets hot going into the playoffs, the regular season's in the rearview mirror. But if you have to judge based on what you've seen so far, I would say the Knicks aren't far off Boston and Cleveland. And they have a game breaker in Brunson, and Karl Anthony Towns is having a career season. And they've got enough other good pieces to that puzzle, especially, and I would say only if OG Anunoby is healthy going into the playoffs. If he is, they're a threat, and I wouldn't want to play the New York Knicks. Thibodeau's a great coach. He has that team believing. They can still play real good defense, and offensively, they're a far bigger threat than they've ever been with the combination of Brunson and Towns. The third team I'd throw into the East, though, that I think is surprising everybody, Jason, is the Detroit Pistons. I can't even believe I'm uttering those two words, but they're playing great.
Yeah, no, they are actually. It's pretty surprising, to be honest. What's coming up on the basketball show this Saturday?
We really have a nice show lined up. I'm going to do a 3x3 segment with the young man, Dylan Travis, who plays for the United States Olympic team. Dylan played at the University of Nebraska, Omaha, and has had a great career on the 3x3 circuit. So we're going to bring Dylan in and talk the upcoming 3x3 season. I have a Dika, Peter McNeely, the 6-year veteran of the Edmonton Stingers, now the successful first-year coach for the Nate Ooks here in Edmonton. So the Dika is always such a pleasure to talk to. And then one of my favorite guests is coming on, Alan Horton, the play-by-play radio voice of the Minnesota Timberwolves, is going to come on. And of course, we'll talk T-Wolves and how their season's going, but we'll also talk about the trades, the NBA All-Star Game, and just the NBA in general. So real strong lineup this weekend, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Should be good, Paul. We appreciate it, man. We'll be listening. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks so much, Jason. Take care.
There you go. That's Paul Sir, host of the basketball show Saturdays right here on Sports 1440. Tune in at 10 to noon. Those guys are hugely passionate, hugely knowledgeable about basketball. Coming up next hour, Jeff Merrick will join us from the Sheet. We got Livingston, Stephen Ellis, Speck, Mark Killam, head coach of the Elks. We got a lot of text flying in. The text line's humming today. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. I teased it earlier, but a big no for me on one of the trade rumors. Some of you have said no to certain trade rumors. One, I'd be like, if they could do it, I would totally do it. So we'll get to that after Connor Halley and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice. This month of February, every day they're giving away free smoothies. Today, if your name is Rebecca or Kai, stop in at Booster Juice and you will get a free smoothie. Now, to follow along every day to find out who it is, just follow them on social media. That's Booster Juice.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Coronation face-off rolls on tonight as Finland takes on the United States out in Montreal. Capo Caco expected to be a scratch for Finland. Mikko Rantanen did not skate today, but is expected to be good to go for the U.S. Looks like Chris Kreider and Jake Sanderson will sit out. In the association tonight, we got 5 games on the schedule. That's going at 6 with the Warriors and Rockets. Also, Pelicans host the Kings. Heat take on the Mavs. Thunder in Minnesota. And the Jazz taking on the Los Angeles Clippers in the PWHL. Ottawa in action. They'll host Minnesota. That starts at 5. And from the NFL, the New York Jets announcing today that they've told quarterback Aaron Rodgers they're moving on without him next season. Rodgers hasn't said whether or not he intends to play for a 21st season. But the Jets, with new general manager Darren Rugy and head coach Aaron Glenn in charge, have officially ruled out a return to New York. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Jeff Merrick from the Sheep, and we'll speed things up in the Cantork Racing Report with Colin Livingston. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
It's Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Ooh, girl, the way you touch that thermostat, it really turns me on. Like a heat exchanger, sensual phenomenon. Wanna play your favorite song when we turn the heating on like a legacy of love.
Legacy Heating and Cooling keeps your Valentine sizzling hot. You can afford to shower your Valentine with affection because Legacy offers no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new furnace. And that's how you build your legacy of love. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
My utility bills are going through the roof. How can I take advantage of the sun and put my lazy roof to work?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Energy team reporting. When you're ready to make your home or business more efficient, Action Electrical has the power to install solar panel systems and EV chargers.
Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta with supercharged skills and strong family values. ActionElectrical.net. Roses are red, violets are blue. To heat things up this Valentine's Day, a Papa John's pizza will certainly do. Flowers are nice, but so is a slice of delicious handcrafted pizza made with fresh ingredients. Right now, get a medium 2-topping pizza and your choice of dessert for only $25.99. Order today at papajohns.ca or through the Papa John's app using the promo code LOVEDAY. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
It's the season for love, and you're about to fall hard for the vehicle of your dreams. Presenting the outstanding 2025 XC90 from Volvo Cars Edmonton. Right now, you can lease your 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $4,600. Or finance a 2025 XC60 from 1.49% and save $1,500. All while being deeply infatuated by the newly upgraded, highly attractive body and wheel design. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Get fired up for Family Day weekend Oil Kings hockey at Rogers Place.
Saturday night, Edmonton looks to make rubble on the double of the Humdinger Lethbridge Hurricanes because it's Paw Patrol night.
Your Oil Kings suit up in specialty jerseys right out of Adventure Bay. Each one will be raffled off in support of the Stollery Children's Hospital Foundation after the game.
And Calmont Kids Food combos are on the case. Just $10 or less. Value bigger than the Paw Patroller.
Oil Kings Paw Patrol night, Saturday at 7.
Family fun that's second to none, starting at just $20 a seat. Save on day of game pricing now at oilkings.ca.
Getting your vehicle sparkling clean doesn't have to cost a fortune. Take it into Hughes today and pay just loonies a wash.
Find us at hughescarwash.com.
Introducing the new McSpicy from McDonald's. It looks like a regular chicken sandwich, but it's actually a spicy chicken sandwich. McSpicy. Consider yourself warned. Limited time only. Participate in McDonald's in Canada.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. This week at Papa John's, enjoy a medium 2-topping pizza and choice of dessert for only $25.99. Use code LOVEDAY at papajohns.ca or through the Papa John's app.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by playalberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 3 o'clock, welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you're having an awesome day. Of course, probably a little bit more fired up getting into the tournament. And for those who are on the fence, I think you're probably like, oh, God, once I saw the game, I was right into it. I have to say, the red jerseys and the yellow with no white, big fan. I'm a big fan of it. I could see now. Cons, did you know in the NBA they allow certain teams to both wear dark unis if they don't contrast? So do we on the ice that's white? Do we always need a white uniform in the NHL? Like if you have two teams where their colors aren't remotely conflicting, like last night, yellow and red, and like when Canada plays the US, it's going to be red and blue. Why couldn't you do that more? Why do you have to have a white and a dark? Just a question. I'm curious if anybody else noticed that. I loved it. And like, think about it. If you could have, the blue of the Orders versus the red of the Flames. Would you like that? Why do you have to have a white jersey? I can see if you've got two colors where it's okay, we can't do that. They're too conflicting. Their darks are too close, right? If you got two dark blues, well, of course not. But what if the NHL looked at that? It's just a thought. But you watch the game on Saturday when you see the blue of USA and the red of Canada. And then let me know what you think. But I know what happens in the NBA. So it's just a thought. Cons, where do you come up?
I mean, it takes me back to Color Rush in the NFL when they would do that with the two uniforms. I think there was one issue, and it was when the Bills and Jets played, and for those people that were colorblind, they looked like they had the same uniforms on. Other than that, though, no, I'm with you. I think why not have it? Because we all like the white jerseys are all kind of boring, right? They're all very similar. Let's spice it up a little bit. I'd be totally on board with that, but it's not going to clash. It'd be fine.
Hey guys, Sweden's dark is blue. Their yellow is white. Right. Are they wearing white though? Yes or no? I'm not sure the point of that. Are they wearing white? No, they are not. Will the US and Canada, will one of them be wearing white on Saturday? No, they will be not. They will be wearing red and blue, which is my point. At times, why not? I think it'd be great. I just think with the white ice, well, you got the contrast of the colored jerseys. I just liked it. Just stood out for me. I think it's great. And I say that wearing a white t-shirt today. Trust me. Right? Do I think the white looks best on camera? Probably not. But I actually forgot I was wearing a white t-shirt under my hoodie until I got in the studio today and the hoodie's too hot. So there we go. I think it would look better if it was black or blue or red. Hey guys, would you put in Bennett against the U.S.? I 100% would, without question. It's well, first of all, the fourth line got scored on twice. So that would be my number one reason. Why? Like, you got 13 players here. I don't really believe in having guys sit out too long in a tournament like this. So I would play him. I would play him because it's the U.S. I would play him because if there's one guy who would not hesitate in a moment, like, he's probably the most physical forward they have, and he won't pick favorites. You think if he can run over Matthew Tkachuk, he will run over him? 100% he would. So yes, I would play Sam Bennett. He's on your roster. I'd play him. He's physical. He's aggressive. And I would do it for sure. And because the fourth line was up. Now, if you look at that, the tying goal, I don't necessarily blame the forwards as much as Josh Morrissey. Josh Morrissey just got way too aggressive on that play. It's a defensive zone faceoff, and Josh Morrissey off of the faceoff ends up at the top of the circle in the defensive zone. No reason for him to be up there. Right? It left Parayko down low on a 2-on-1. No reason for it. So, I don't blame the fourth line per se, but it's just how it looks, right? And your dash two. Now, Parayko obviously didn't want to ice the puck that led to that faceoff, right? He had possession in his own zone. Guys have been on and just got too much mustard on it. So it's unfortunate. The forwards didn't do anything. It's not like they made horrific decisions. I get it. But yes, I would bring him in. Hey, Greg's, what about Hill? What would you do? It's a good question. I thought I would have started Hill in game one. So now you won the game and Binnington played well, but I can look at it two ways. Like, let's say you lose against the U.S. Well, now you have a must-win game against Finland. You're going to bring in Aiden Hill? I guess you could. But again, it might be too late by then, as I outlined earlier. Especially if the U.S. wins tonight in regulation. If U.S. beats Canada in regulation on Saturday, Canada can't catch them. So they're automatically in. Right? And then, what if Sweden earlier in the day beats Finland in regulation? All Sweden has to do is beat USA, and USA has nothing to play for on Monday. And then they would be in, and Canada would be out. So Saturday's game is massive for Canada. It's massive. So I guess it comes down to, do I think, like, they started Binnington, so I guess they assume he's better than Hill. Right? Or they like him more. Whatever reason, I'm not sure it's there. If it's me, I'm playing Aiden Hill. But I'm fascinated to see what they do. Cons, who would you play?
I, like you, would go with Aiden Hill. I respect that if, you're not going to start a goalie you don't think is as good. Like, so you probably think that Binnington is the guy who can get the job done and he'll rise to the occasion. So I kind of think they'll stick with him. But like you, I would be going with Aiden Hill. And he would have been my starter from day one, personally.
Yeah, so
3-1 lead last night. I mean, he's not going to put it all on the goalie, but you'd like him to keep it that way. Keep it to at least a 1-goal game. Letting Sweden get back into it was tough just because of the scoring and the points, only getting 2 going into overtime. But hey, team game. I still would have gone with Aiden Hill.
Hey, Greg's, why do you think there was a Cirelli and Hagel but no Marchand in OT? Well, likely because of just Now, I know Stone got out there for a shift. Probably has something to do with the coach, and you're just looking and reading different things. I remember talking to Chris Knobloch after the game. Well, actually not the game, but a few days afterwards, I chatted with him about Connor Brown on the ice in overtime. And he said, well, it's 3-on-3. And, the main really thing is you want guys who can skate because they're just going to be able to cover up more space. And Hagel and Cirelli are faster players than Marchand. If you look at in the regular season, Hagel's top speed was 23.2 miles an hour, and he had 114 bursts over 20 miles an hour. Cirelli's top speed was 23.15, 84 bursts. Marchand, top speed 22, so he's a mile an hour slower. That's his top speed. But he only had 60 bursts over 20%, so he's not as quick. Now, I like Marchand's game last night. And when I watched that game last night, and now we'll get to the trade talk, because I'm a big no. I don't think Ryan Donato helps the Oilers at all. Ryan Donato's never been a top 6 forward. I don't think he's suddenly a top 6 forward. He's playing on a terrible team and getting, decent opportunities, playing 50 minutes a night. It's not like he's playing boatloads a minute on a 31st place Chicago team. But if you look at his quality of competition, he's still played the fewest minutes against elite competition. And he's gotten pumped. Now, Chicago's not very good. I understand it. But do I think Ryan Donato's a top 6 forward? I do not. He's never been a top 6 forward. I'm not going to trade for a guy and hope that he's a top 6 forward when he's never been one. He's also not overly physical. He's not aggressive. Like the Oilers have, I believe right now, too much of the same. If you look at Brown, Janmark, Nugent Hopkins, Jeff Skinner, Victor Arvidsson, Kasperi Kapanen, are any of them physical? Janmark's probably the most physical of them, and he's not overly physical. They've got different speeds. Kapanen, Brown, Janmark, they can all skate great. Skinner's been a good scorer, sure. But they're all kind of similar to me. Donato would be no different. Now, he's on a heater right now. He's scoring great, so that would put him different against them. Sure, valid. But like Corey Perry, I didn't mention him. Corey Perry's not fast, but Corey Perry has an element to his game the other guys don't have. You need different elements, and I don't think Ryan Donato brings any element to this team that they don't already have. So I wouldn't be looking at him. Now, Brad Marchand, on the other hand, highly competitive, complete shift disturber, knows how to win, has played in big games. Well, the moment won't be too big for him. Oh, by the way, Ryan Donato, 0 goals in 19 playoff games. So Brad Marchand, now he's going to cost you more if Boston's interested in trading him, which is a big if. But if Brad Marchand was available and I'm the Oilers, I'm putting way more emphasis on getting Brad Marchand than I am Ryan Donato. It's not even close. And I get that Ryan Donato's going to cost you, but Ryan Donato, so what if he only cost you a middling pick? Is he really going to help you? How? And he's always played on bad teams, and no good team signing him. Why is that? That's my question. Right? You're never getting signed by a competitive team. He's having a great year. He's going to cash in. Good for him. I hope he gets a multi-year deal. That's awesome. He's earned it. He's going to score maybe 25 goals this year. But is he going to help you come playoff time? I don't see it. So I would pass on him, but I would think long and hard about Brad Marchand. We'll ask Jeff Merrick that and much more when we return on the Jason Gregor Show. Jeff Merrick from The Sheet joins us on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Mr. Rooter travels the world.
Buongiorno, Italy. Nothing beats immersing oneself in another culture. Ooh, look at that. What an intricate design. Huh, wow. What a weird way to turn on the shower. OMG, a dedicated porcelain bidet. Do I try it? Well, when in Rome. Oh, my. This beats that robot toilet in Japan.
All plumbing roads lead to Mr. Rooter. Mr. Rooter travels the world.
Buongiorno, Italy. Nothing beats immersing oneself in another culture. Ooh, look at that. What an intricate design. Huh, wow. What a weird way to turn on the shower. OMG, a dedicated porcelain bidet. Do I try it? Well, when in Rome. Oh, my. This beats that robot toilet in Japan.
All plumbing roads lead to Mr. Rooter.
90 days? You're telling me I can buy a 2024 or 2025 Buick or GMC from Wolf GMC Buick and make no payments for 90 days? Whoa, and you're telling me there's more? It's the final days of GMC's employee pricing on remaining 2024 Sierra HDs and Yukons? Clearly now is the time to buy a new vehicle. I'm heading to Wolf GMC Buick, corner of 184th Street and Stony Plain Road. It's mere seconds east of the Anthony Henday.
Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
At Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we believe in the wisdom of Patch Adams. Treat a disease, you win, you lose. Treat a person, I guarantee you'll win no matter what the outcome. We don't treat conditions, we treat people. From personalized treatment plans to compassionate care, we're committed to helping you achieve your goals. That's why hands-on techniques, unique technologies, and a commitment to hiring amazing people mixed with friendly, fun neighborhood environments. And ta-da! No, it's not magic. It's about being human. Sometimes being human hurts, but life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
Okay, how about you give us your star winger for a bag of pucks? What if I throw in some Will Hawk beef jerky?
Yourself a trade.
With Will Hawk Beef Jerky on their side, the Alberta teams definitely have an unfair advantage this trade deadline. Pick up some today and use it for trade leverage in your fantasy league.
No way, man. It's way too good.
Will Hawk Beef Jerky, only available in Leduc. Get yours today because you don't win trades with salad.
Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada with sports and entertainment properties including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at Cantork.com.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Ewell. Ewell.ca is your power play partner with a new website that puts the power in your hands with 24/7 ordering and shipping within Edmonton and across Alberta. Score an account today at ewel.ca.
Tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.319, welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. The Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game, of course. You want US or Finland, you can get in on that tonight. Of course, it is the Daily Grand, $1,000 a day for the next 20 years, $7.2 million. Now you can get the lump sum, or you can just get that e-transfer every day. Woo, wake up, ka-ching, $1,000 made before you even have your cup of coffee. Be great. Check it out at playalberta.ca. We'll get into Canada's got a few decisions to make for lineup changes. We do know Travis Sanheim is in for sure, as Shea Theodore, unfortunately, his tournament is over. He is done. He's now classified as a week to week with an upper body injury. Just kind of went in the boards awkwardly. Didn't look like a very serious play at all, but unfortunately for him. Let's get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by Silent Rides Charter Company, one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches that will safely take your team or group to the next destination. Visit silentrides.ca for more info. As the host of The Sheet on dailyfaceoff.com, Jeff Merrick joins us. Jeffrey, how you doing?
Jason, how are you? I love coming into the Ramones. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Is there a bigger instant credibility T-shirt than putting on a Ramones T-shirt? Like, if you just want to have like instant credibility, instant street cool, does anything rival the Ramones t-shirt?
You know what's funny, man? I actually used to have a gray one, and I loved it.
It's so good. So good.
Yes. And I haven't now, and I wore it out as, you know what? It just went through too many cycles, man, and eventually just couldn't do it anymore. But God, so now that you think about it, I might have to go get a new one. Jeez.
Man, get on that. Let's go. It's the spring's coming up, Jason.
Yeah, get the Ramon. I quickly Googled
it.
There's one online right now that has Johnny, Joey, Dee Dee, and Tommy right on the front. Ooh. Might have to look into that. Now, let's get to the game. It was a great game. I'm not surprised. I thought this tournament would be awesome, and the first game definitely didn't let me down. Now there's some questions though for John Cooper. Who would you start in goal, and then who do you think they'll start in goal?
It's such a great. I keep going back and forth. So up until the overtime, I was saying Aiden Hill. And then I saw the overtime, and then I sort of swung back a little bit to Jordan Binnington. But I've always been of the mind that for short tournaments like this, you have your starter, and then you go to your quote-unquote backup, and whoever does better gets game 3. So I go to Aiden Hill. You won the game. Let's see what you have against the Americans with Aiden Hill, and then you go back to Jordan Binnington. Binnington didn't put together the best possible 3 periods yesterday.
Yeah.
Now, I always sort of, like, there are some goaltenders that need action to get into the game. And we didn't see Jordan Binnington face a shot until 11 minutes into the first.
Yeah.
I remember what's the best example? Pekka Rinne. Like, Pekka Rinne under Barry Trotz, he would face a lot of shots. And then Peter Laviolette came in, and his big deal in Nashville is shot suppression. And Rinne struggled because he needed a lot of pucks to get the feeling going. Get the feel of the puck and capture the excitement of the game. And then Laviolette comes in. He's facing 3 or 4 shots a period. And I guess as a team, that's what you like. But the goaltenders hate that. So maybe I give Binnington a little bit of a mulligan on yesterday's game, which wasn't the best of his possible games, because the guy didn't get into the game till late in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's fair. I know that he was good in overtime, but it wouldn't have gone to overtime because the Kempe goal just can't happen, right?
I know. That's awful.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah, that's the goal that you don't like. And really, Jeff, I'm looking at this format because Canada didn't win in regulation. A win against Finland doesn't guarantee them a spot in the final because of, so especially if the U.S. wins tonight in regulation, then beats Canada in regulation, they're automatically in. And then it could come down to that Sweden-USA game on Monday. And if the Swedes are victorious, because I'm assuming they'll beat Finland, then guess what? Yeah. They would jump ahead of Canada. So, Canada's got a huge game on Saturday, as do the U.S., but Canada for sure. And that's what makes the tournament great, that 3-2-1 format. I love it for short term. I don't want it in the regular season. I crunched all the numbers for years. Like the same 16 teams would have made the playoffs last year. The only difference is you'd have a different stretch of points between them. It wouldn't matter. Right? Like you would, you're going to have less competitive regular season having a 3-2-1, but I love it in a short tournament format because then every game matters more.
Sure. I'm with you on that one. The interesting thing about this tournament is, this is going to sound a little bit weird. I love the games, but I don't love the tournament. Like, we all know this is a one and done. We all know that whenever, whoever ends up holding this trophy, they just unveiled a couple of days ago, whoever ends up winning this thing, it's automatically going into the Hockey Hall of Fame Resource Center in some corner office somewhere, and it's going to gather dust for decades until someone rediscovers it and says, what the hell was this? Like Michael Farber put it best when he said, this is a tournament with no past and no future. So, I don't like the tournament itself, but if all the games are like what we saw last night, I'll like the game. I just don't like this as the sort of random one-off, pretend to get excited that this is really international hockey, because it's not. So I'm not sure where you're at on this one. Is it possible, legitimately for me to love these games, but not like the tournament?
Yeah, I guess for me, I look at it this way. I get why the tournament's only 4 teams because of Russia and what's going on politically. Czechia doesn't have enough NHL defensemen. Slovakia doesn't have. They don't even have 6 NHL defensemen. Heck, I think Slovakia might have 1. So that you could put in other teams if you want. But to me, it was like, let's get back into it. And I don't really care so much about the trophy. I just like the games. The quality of play is great. And really, the quality of play in this tournament, Jeff, if you take out all the pomp and circumstances of the Olympics, the quality of hockey, just hockey itself, will be better top to bottom all games than we will see in the Olympics. Because the Olympics has 12 teams, and one of them won't be Russia next time. So they'll still have 12 teams. You're going to bring in basically the 13th nation to come in and take out the 5th best nation. So that's a downgrade. And you have preliminary games that were boring. And then finally, guess who the 4 semifinalists were the last time we had the Olympics with the NHL teams? Finland, Sweden, USA, and Canada. So this just gets us to the meat and potatoes quicker.
The thing about the Olympics, though, is, and listen, we just saw this at the World Juniors as well with Latvia, is the dark horse, the upset. Oh, wow, we didn't know the Germans had this in them. Oh, wow, can Latvia really do this? Oh, look what's happening with the Swiss, and they're riding this goaltender whose last name no one can pronounce and we've never heard of. Like, that's part of the thing that you're not, like put it this way. I know that Finland is completely banged up, specifically on the back end.
Yes.
But is there one team here that you look at and you could really say, like, wow, what a shocker that they're in the final? Like, let me ask you this, Jason. If it ends up being a Sweden-Finland final, I know that everyone is clamoring for Canada-US, and actually I would like to have a conversation about that in a second if you'll indulge me.
Sure.
But would it surprise you? Like, I mean, you watch a lot of hockey. Would it surprise you if it ended up being Sweden and Finland in the final here?
I'd be flabbergasted because I don't think Finland's defense is good enough to win 3 games or even 2 out of 3.
But I mean, it's not outside of the realm of possibility. This isn't like, wow, Latvia just beat Canada in the World Juniors. It's not like that. Like, that's what you get in the Olympics. You get like momentum, like humongous emotional swing in all of these games, and you get upset. Like, I still, again, like with the Finnish defense, with all due respect, I still don't see the potential for a massive upset here. Now, I'm of the mind, because if you want to drill down to the meat and potatoes, let's just get these 4. You know what, Jason? I'm of the mind that everybody wants Canada-US final. Like, that is, we've been saying it for a long time, the future of international hockey is not Canada versus the Russians. It's Canada versus the United States. Can we just be honest about it and just have a best of 5 between Canada and the United States? Like, and listen, the political situation down south is ratcheting it up, of course. But how would you feel about, instead of the 4 nations faced off, we just did Canada versus U.S. best of 5?
You know what? I know the women do it, the rivalry series. So
rivalry series, yeah.
It would make sense from a marketing standpoint. And I will say, and I know they haven't outlined at all what's happening in 2028 yet. It sounds like there'll be more teams and everything. And the timing of it won't allow, I don't think, for a best of 3 final, which is why I would be a strong advocate. The World Cup of Hockey should be played in September every 2nd year, or every 4th year. And the final should be a best of 3, and it would be infinitely better for everybody.
Yes, and listen, I'm surprised. I'm always stunned they have in-season tournaments to begin with. I understand the Olympics, and that's out of hockey's control.
Yes,
but if you're controlling this thing, why would you do it this close to playoffs?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, listen. I mean, I know that the Theodore injury is just, as you mentioned, it's just like an accident, just like a rub into the board. It's going to happen, but and that could be a substantial injury for the Vegas Golden Knights. And look, every single international tournament, what do you guarantee? Injury. It's baked into the pie. We like to cross our fingers and throw salt over our shoulder and say, wow, I hope that everything's going to be all right. But the reality is, like, every tournament someone gets hurt, and sometimes more than just a couple of people as well. So I don't know why, if you're going to choose to do something, they get the 4, and let's just focus on this tournament. Why would you want to do this close to the playoffs? And the other issue is, and I know, like, hindsight is 2020, And I wasn't barking about it back then when they announced it, but football's done. And you have a lot of people that are looking around for something to watch right now in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you choose this time of year to shut down your league? When you have a whole bunch of people that are wandering around going like, well, we got no football. What else is on?
Well,
we're giving them a handful of games.
Yeah.
In this tournament that not a lot of people know about.
Well, here's the thing though. How many games in the regular season are Saturday night, 8:00 on ABC? None. Right. And
but at the same time, that's interesting because this is one major differentiating point between Canada and the United States. TV in the United States on a Saturday night is a wasteland, right? It's an absolute wasteland. Whereas in Canada, it's appointment television and always has been since the 50s and the rise of Hockey Night in Canada. Like the way we treat TV in Canada and the United States around Saturday is 180 degrees different.
Well, yes and no, because it's changed in the U.S. Like how many Saturday night playoff games you now have had in the NFL? College football games are huge on Saturdays. So I think
I just mean hockey specifically.
Yeah, but that's why I think you do it because now it's open and people can say, hey, like, and the one thing is it's America and they're very patriotic, blindly patriotic at times. And I think the numbers will be pretty good for this. It's Canada-U.S. It's the biggest rivalry. You throw in all the other garbage that's going on right now. And I think it probably gets talked about even more. The fact that it's on ABC, not just ESPN, is huge, I think, for the NHL.
Another reason why, just to make this thing Canada versus United States.
Well, that would be fair.
You've seen this a million times. You've been in this industry a long time. The biggest mistake we make in media is overthinking things. And, it's got to sort of replicate, even though it's not really an international tournament. It's got to kind of have an international tournament feel to it. Just give Ray Davies of the Kings said it best. Give the people what they want. That sometimes the simplest answer is the best one and the right one. People want this to end up Canada USA. Just give them Canada USA.
Yeah. No, and you know what?
Don't make it a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah, and that's where the majority of your game. Well, that's all your teams are situated there. It's something they could strongly look at. I know some people, might get upset about it and say, "Oh, we got to include everybody." Well, no, we don't always have to include everybody. It's not a participation ribbon. You wouldn't get an argument from me. You might get an argument from European fans, and that's fine. But they could always say, "Hey, if you want, you could play Finland and Sweden a 5-gamer at the same time in Europe."
Helsinki and Stockholm, done. Great idea. There we go.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that rivalry's intense. That's great.
Yep.
Do it overseas. We'll do Canada-US here.
Yeah.
I love it.
I think honestly, maybe they do that. And you have like Russia, Czechia or whatever, and Czechia and Slovakia. Well, they're obviously not going to reunite, but maybe that's something you think about. But I'd be all over it. Jeffrey, as always, man, great stuff. Enjoy Montreal. We will chat with you next week.
Thanks, my friend. We'll talk next week.
There you go. That's Jeff Merrick from the Sheet. And hey, I'd be for it. Imagine if you had best of fives: Canada, US, North America, Finland and Sweden in Europe, and then you pick an opponent by 2028 for Russia. Who would say no? Anyone? There's 7 games right now. So you have a best of 5, right? Teams are going to play 4 games. Would be playing one more really be that big of a deal? And it's only one more if it goes the full 5. Just a thought. We'll come back. We'll talk, take a break from hockey for a moment. And there's lots to get to here on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
It's the season for love, and you're about to fall hard for the vehicle of your dreams. Presenting the outstanding 2025 XC90 from Volvo Cars Edmonton. Right now, you can lease your 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $4,600. Or finance a 2025 XC60 from 1.49% and save $1,500. All while being deeply infatuated by the newly upgraded, highly attractive body and wheel design. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's AquaCentral reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade: safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
Introducing the new McSpicy from McDonald's. It looks like a regular chicken sandwich, but it's actually a spicy chicken sandwich. McSpicy. Consider yourself warned. Limited time only. Participate in McDonald's in Canada.
Get fired up for Family Day weekend Oil Kings hockey at Rogers Place.
Saturday night, Edmonton looks to make rubble on the double of the Humdinger Lethbridge Hurricanes because it's Paw Patrol night.
Your Oil Kings suit up in specialty jerseys right out of Adventure Bay. Each one will be raffled off in support of the Stollery Children's Hospital Foundation after the game.
And Calmont Kids Food combos are on the case, just $10 or less. Value bigger than the Paw Patroller.
Oil Kings Paw Patrol night, Saturday at 7.
Family fun that's second to none, starting at just $20 a seat. Save on day of game pricing now at oilkings.ca.
Attention drivers, it's the midwinter tire clearance sale at Fountain Tire. Right now, you can save up to 20% off all in-stock winter tires. That's right, premium brands, unbeatable safety, and incredible savings. But don't wait, this sale ends March 8th. And once they're gone, they're gone. Contact your local Fountain Tire for complete details.
Portions of this hour brought to you by the PWHL Takeover Tour, featuring a matchup between the Toronto Scepters and Ottawa Charge Sunday, February 16th at Rogers Place. Premium seating is now available. Check out the available suites, theater boxes, and loge tables. Head to rogersplace.com/PWHL.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
We return Thursday afternoon, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Man, we're just flying through the show today. Lots of great stuff to talk about. Lots of texts coming in our EWEL inbox, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. As we'll get to the racing report now, brought to you by Cantork, where they offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com as we welcome in Colin Livingston. Livingston, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, man. It's good to be back. Yeah. This gets to be kind of commonplace. We've done this a number of years, but take 2 weeks off, a little bit sick, not a little bit sick. I mean, I don't know what we had. I think it was the plague. And then last week was overseas, but yeah, good to be back.
Now, introduce your riding partner here, Matthew.
Yeah, this is, we've talked about him quite a bit over the years. This is Matthew Taskinen, go-kart racer, professional. He's done a lot of professional racing. Matthew's also one of our sponsored drivers under our CRG program here in Edmonton. So yeah, glad to have Matthew join us here.
So Matty, how long you been karting? When did you get into it?
I got into it when I was 13, so 11 years now.
13. Man, that's got to be like the greatest thrill ever. You're 13, like you get a high-powered kart. Like it beats the pedal tricycle that I was riding, I would think, at 13 years of age.
Oh yeah, no, it feels pretty big when you're that young.
Oh yeah. So because now the kart size is the same, you've just kind of grown into it.
Yeah, from when I started as a junior, they race full-size karts. Those are 12 to 15-year-olds, but they do have smaller kid karts for kids over the age.
So you've been in the same size car, it just has different horsepower as you get older?
Yeah, engine gets bigger.
Okay. So now you just you had an outstanding series in Orlando, 4 races. Now, so you've been racing since you're 13. What was this, 10, 12 years been racing? How many years?
Yeah. 11.
24
now.
So 11 years in, obviously you improve like anybody in any sport. But as you look to karting now, like you started off, you just had that great series in Orlando with the 4 races. So kind of relieves all the stress of qualifying. You've already qualified so early in the year. Is it safe to say then that you're a much better driver just based on your results early this season? And what's been the biggest improvement that you've made the last few years as a driver now that you've maybe been an adult?
I think the pace I found was always there ever since I was the second year in a kart, I think. I was always pretty quick, but it's all head games and maturity as I got older, kind of smartened up how to race.
So head games, by I mean like you get frustrated and then you're bumping a guy because a guy cut you off and now you're annoyed, stuff like that?
Yeah, same thing as in hockey. Like some guys just can't handle the pressure, or when you're leading, important to stay calm, kind of thing. Like,
there's also a lot that goes on track, like the way that certain drivers drive other drivers.
Oh yeah,
it's not.
There's gamesmanship.
It's
fair
not
to say.
about contact, but there's, especially the series that Matthew was just racing in. There's a lot of blocking and there's a lot of gamesmanship. The way, even just the formation lap, when you get out to do your warm up, the way guys will weave and they'll kind of speed up and slow down. They'll kind of brake check you and hope that they can maybe catch you sleeping, where your bumper hits the back of the cart in front of you. That gets you a penalty if you hit your front bumper hard enough. Like if your front bumper's dislodged for any reason, that turns into like a 5-second penalty.
Yeah, 5 seconds.
So, and Matt, feel free if you want. You can elevate your chair because Colin's not nearly that much taller than you. You're sitting down in like the kid chair over there. So there.
Just based on math, I should be sitting
I'm a
there.
pretty short guy. I'm used to it.
No, it's a little bit better. But so now that you have that, what does it look like? Because you've secured yourself a return trip, right, to the grand finals.
Yeah.
So what does the rest of the year look like now then?
I'm excited about it because to get that ticket out of the way this early, because that's everybody's goal in the Rotax series, is to get a chance to go to, this year it is in Bahrain, the World Finals.
Okay.
So now I can, I don't know, tinker with maybe other series or types of go-karts. Like there's a faster, more powerful shifter karts that maybe I'd like to hop into when I'm free for a weekend, or race senior, or just other classes, kind of just have fun with the year.
Now,
of the year.
how much, because we in racing, there's so much about you got to be good on track, but the reality is you got to be good off the track, with sponsorship and stuff like that. Does a good start, does it alleviate any of that stress, or is that just ongoing all the time when it comes to, getting, sponsorship and helping out with the cost of everything? Because auto racing it ain't cheap. I don't care. Kart racing, auto racing, doesn't matter what you're doing. It's not cheap.
Yeah, for sure. But the budget with the go-kart has for sure came down a lot since compared to my car days. So, but it is nice to, people seem to want you to race for them.
Oh, okay.
You can get,
so people come calling you and say, hey, we'll put you in this ride. They'll pay you to drive for one of our carts, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And usually in the go-kart side of things, it's not about getting paid to be in a cart, but teams will maybe provide you a cart to drive, where you're still paying
a lot of cost.
You're still paying your
Savings.
flights, your accommodations, things like that, your consumables, your entry fees.
If they ask you to ride their car, they're like, you can drive our car, but you got to get there and put up yourself. Like, they don't do that? Or will someone, like, if they say, hey, Matthew, we want you to drive in our cart, they'll fly you in, or you got to pay for your flight still?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, part of the cost, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but now that Matthew's got his ticket secured, there's a lot of interest from competitive teams who were, basically they were fighting with him in Orlando. Now they want him to help with setups or maybe help be a teammate on the track. So that could turn into a slightly different deal where, like, hey, listen, did you plan to run the Phoenix series, which is coming up in a couple of weeks or whenever? To where, like, listen, we're going to get you a cart, we're going to get you into Phoenix, and we need you to help out with our drivers. So that's, you got a lot of interest from a couple of the teams, from, at least what I talked to your dad about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and Phoenix coming up in 2 weekends. Obviously, I have my ticket. There is no need for me to really race, but, you always want to be driving a go-kart. It's a fun sport for me, so I want to be there. And but my main reason for going is to help my Canadian teammates that I grew friends with over the years.
Okay. So in a utopian world where cost wasn't a factor and the skill was even, is there one series you'd want to race in on any, whether it's NASCAR, Pinty's, F1? Is there a certain, that's like, is F1 the ultimate goal for every driver or no?
Yeah, for every kid growing up, F1 is the pinnacle of motorsports.
That's the one you'd want to get into. So you said you were in cars before, and now you're in cars. Do you eventually want to get back into cars at some point?
I mean, when I was a kid, it was obviously a dream. Now it's more of a hobby thing to keep me busy, kind of thing. So if the opportunity ever came to hop in a car, for sure I would never turn an opportunity down such as that. But no, it's main focus is karting for me.
Karting. And so like what's the long-term then goal? Is it to win the grand final? Like let's say you win it, then you would go into a shifter kart and you just try something different, or what would happen?
Oh no, I'd want to become a world champion.
Okay.
For kart racing, and then whatever comes after comes after.
And if you're a world champion in kart racing, what comes with that? Like other than the pride of winning, but do you get more sponsorships? Like, is there way more opportunities if you're the world champion?
Oh, yeah, like factory teams, obviously they would want you driving. If you're a world champion,
okay,
capable driver, yeah, the more opportunities to have teams want you to race with them and for them grows.
Now, when do you ever race? Like, when's the last time you raced locally?
Oh man,
August, September, something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah. So you kind of you race once a summer locally. Would that be it, or do you race more than that locally?
Oh no, our home club is based out of Warburg.
Okay. Oh, you race with him?
Yeah, with Colin.
Does he ever is he remotely competitive?
Oh, competitive? Yeah. It's not with me. We're in different different
No, that's
different
fair. I like that. Very humble. Well,
Yeah.
no, he's competitive, just not with me. So that's
the,
right.
the one thing, and I talk about this a fair bit. Matthew, unbelievably, incredibly more talent than I have, but he can tell you I'm one of the harder guys on the track to pass. Because we race under the same team, so he's like especially uber super clean around me. He's a very, very clean driver around everyone, but he'll give me a little bit more quarter, but he can tell you, and I'm not, he can 100% permission to tell me I'm a liar if I'm lying, but I'm really good under the brakes. He's better, again, more talent, but when you're going into a corner 30 or 40 pounds less than a fat guy like me, it's a lot easier to drive a little bit deeper, but I know I'm good on the brakes.
Is that valid?
Yeah, no, he's not lying.
Now, when he says you're a clean driver, do clean drivers win in karting? Can you win being a clean driver? Do you have do you need to be a little bit more Brad Marchand for any of our non-racing listeners?
Yeah, no, it's a good thing to be a rat out there sometimes.
Okay.
Obviously, you don't want to make any enemies, do something too crazy.
Yeah.
So even
but just enough though. That's sometimes I know it's the old adage, and we're taking movie, and I know that movies aren't reality, but if bumping isn't racing, and if you're not, if you're not cheating, you're not trying all those things. Like you got to be like Max Verstappen in F1 is can be somewhat reckless is probably too hyperbolic on my point, but he'll be like, hey, I'm going to win, and if I have to do this to win, then I'll do it, and I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about hurting your feelings to win.
Yeah, he's going to take over that pavement, and it's the same way in the car or go-kart. You have to drive like that when it comes to.
Have you always had that, or do you have to become more assertive, do you think?
I think that's one of the things I have gotten better over as I matured, is the want to take that spot away and push another guy off the track, rub him.
Yeah.
Not take him right out.
No. But it's a fine line, right? Like it's very close to making a clean, dirtiest pass or a reckless pass, right?
And even in the rental kart facility here, so sometimes it's hard to pass somebody, right?
Yes.
Sometimes you have to force the way.
Right.
And,
especially if you're quicker, right? Yeah.
But
Getting the elbows out.
Matthew had shown speed all, his entire time in Orlando, right from, their first couple of practice sessions before anything started counting. The difference, after the first weekend, he ended up with a pair of, I think it was 5th place finishes. Qualifying didn't quite go as well as he wanted to, but the aggressive moves that he tried in the first weekend resulted in penalties where, he got a bumper penalty, or he got, tried to make a move, but maybe didn't put 100% commitment, kind of threw it in and then had to back out, which ended up costing a couple more spots because other guys who were, right on his bumper ended up, jumping him. By the second weekend, you qualified second on Saturday, first on Sunday, and then finished second, first on the final to come from basically, I don't know if you were actually 5th place in points after the first weekend, but it would have been 5th, 6th, 7th, something like
I think
that.
I was 6th.
Yeah.
It was
To leapfrog
From 6th
last
to
weekend.
1st. Yeah, that's a big jump.
Yeah, with a win in the final due to another driver, kind of getting overly aggressive and he taking a penalty. So it's knowing how to do it, but also getting lucky that when you're making those aggressive moves, you manage to get to the other side.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not that not as easy as the average guy like myself thinks. Colin Livingston, Matthew Taskinen join us here on Sports 1440. The Racing Report. Well, Matthew, continued success, man, and best of luck this year, and hopefully you get to be a world champ soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Colin, we got a few other racing stuff I want to get to.
Right.
The Canadian content coming up at the Daytona. There's got a lot of Canadian content.
There is?
A few of it, right?
Oh, no, that was a couple weeks ago. Rolex 24 at Daytona. 3 out of this was 2 or 3 weeks ago, getting caught up. 3 out of the 4 classes were won by Canadian-based teams.
Yeah.
1 ended up getting penalized, but still, they caught in their class. So very cool. And lots of
Now, has
Canadian
that happened before?
Not that I can remember. No.
That's what I thought. Now, F1's coming around the corner again, and there's lots of final year partnerships, right? Because everybody's moving to in 2026. Because of that, and for those of you who don't know, like Red Bull's last year with Honda, Aston Martin's last year with Mercedes, Alpine's last year as a power unit supplier before they go to Mercedes and stuff. How is that, if any, going to impact this season, knowing it's the last year for them?
In a lot of ways, these guys are kind of lame ducks, but at the same point, most of the power unit providers are going to want to put their best stuff forward. Nobody wants to, if you're Mercedes right now and you're losing Aston Martin, you're not going to start giving them kind of lame duck engines, because then all the other teams see that all of a sudden they got junk, so they're not going to want to deal with you. But it's going to be a really interesting year, because as far as the budgets go, if teams are not immediately in contention with their 2025 cars, you can kind of look towards them starting to channel their resources to the 2026 program, where they might try and leapfrog everybody else and get that advantage and kind of springboard ahead, like Red Bull did with these last new regulations. Conversely, the teams that are really showing that they're competitive, they'll likely kind of channel what they have into 2025 as the season develops, so that they can secure, if they're in contention, to try and secure that championship.
And with Lewis Hamilton leaving, and now you have Antonelli taking over for him, and Mercedes has kind of come out and they've really lowered the bar expectations wise, which I think is very smart. They said, he might need a whole year to get used to it. Do you think they will be that patient with him and know that, yes, you know what, we're going to give him this year to get comfortable? Do you think they'll actually do it?
They'll definitely, there's no pressure on Antonelli as far as him being worried about losing his seat, like, Jack Doohan over at Alpine. But what they're going to face with Antonelli, he's 18. The pressure that he's going to feel, trying to replace a 7-time world champion, going straight to a top tier team, which doesn't generally happen. Like, all of these kids, even George Russell, he sweated it out at Williams for 3 or 4 years before he got the call to move up. Max didn't even get to start with Red Bull. He got put in the Toro Rosso for a couple of years before they finally moved him up. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how he handles that pressure, because, going from Formula 2, which doesn't really have any, I don't want to say they don't have any coverage. There's TV coverage, but you don't have the throng of reporters. And when they start racing in places like Monza,
oh God,
where, he's Italian and that Italian press is going to be, swarming him. And, maybe he makes a little bit of a mistake. Maybe he gets caught speeding or, doing something when he's driving that it gets blown up on social media, where now he's got to start thinking about his sponsor engagement and, all this stuff. It's a lot to deal with. They've likely, they've been prepping him for years, but you don't know how you're going to handle it till you get to it. So that's going to be interesting.
So when you look at, we got Ferrari and, Red Bull, and it's kind of like being the 4 teams, and each had their 2 guys. They were kind of like top 8 racers for the most part. Now Mercedes is out, one of them. Like, you've still got one, but not the other. Which other driver do you think now is going to be a continual guy in the top 8? to replace that Antonelli?
That's a good question.
Do you think Sainz can do it this year?
I mean, if they get the car running well, where the drivers kind of feel secure, between him and Albon, they're great drivers. They need to have a car to feel confident that they can, kind of show up week in and week out and know what the car's going to do. Where last year, where they started with Sargent and, Albon was over driving and they're, crashing every bloody weekend, where they were almost to the point that they weren't able to enter the car. It could be Sainz. Who's due? Who do you think, Maddie? Who's due for?
I was going to say Albon. His teammate.
Yeah, could be
Albon.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
All right. Well, fellas, enjoy racing and watching racing, and we will chat with you next Thursday.
Look forward to it. Thanks, man.
There you go. That's the Racing Report brought to you by Can Torque. Let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire, as the midwinter tire clearance event is on now. 20% off all in-stock tires, including the big brands. So great prices, great tires, great service. FountainTire.com.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Four Nation face-off continues tonight as the United States takes on Finland from Montreal. Puck drop just after 6 o'clock. United States having Chris Kreider and Jake Sanderson as their healthy scratches. For Finland, it'll be Capo Kakko. Mikko Rantanen did not participate in the skate this morning, but is expected to play in the association tonight. Just 5 games on the schedule. Warriors taking on the Rockets. You got the Pelicans and the Kings. Heat in Dallas. Timberwolves host the Thunder, and the Clippers taking on the Utah Jazz. And in the NFL, the New York Jets announced today that Aaron Rodgers will not be back next season. Rodgers has not said whether he intends to play for a 21st NFL season or not as of yet. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll ask 5 questions and be joined by Stephen Ellis from Daily Faceoff. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray Radio Station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Hey, did you know you can get a free drink today?
Nice. I love free drinks.
Yeah, Booster Juice called your name today on the Booster Rewards app, so you get a free smoothie, booster mixer, or fresh juice.
Well then, why are we still sitting here just talking about it?
Watch for your name on the Booster Rewards app and social media. 2 names every day, all February long. Must be a Booster Rewards app member. For complete details, visit boosterjuice.com.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Is it Riverside Motorsports? No. It's Riverside Motorsports. Over 55 years in business, and people still get it wrong. Guess it's time to get it right.
Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
Your courtside seat awaits on Sports 1440. I'm Paul Sir, and I host the basketball show every Saturday morning from 10 to noon on Edmonton's sports leader, Sports 1440. Don't miss it. I'll catch you this weekend.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Center. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit edmontonexpocenter.com today.
You know, the Ridge Social Eatery St. Albert is a great place to unwind with your friends. But when it comes to Valentine's Day, let's just say you get a little frantic with the romantic. Not to worry, the Ridge has you covered. Yeah, the Ridge is the perfect place for you two with their special Valentine's Day menu. You get your choice of a main and your choice of a shared app and dessert, plus a bottle of sparkling wine, all for just $140 per couple. Reservations are recommended, so call now or go online to theridgestantalbert.com.
At Schwab Buick GMC, our boss is serious about cutting prices on vehicles like Sierras and Silverados. When?
Right Schwabbing now! Right Schwabbing now!
So when he sees the MSRP, he says,
"That's not Schwabbing good enough!"
He's always looking for more.
Dig the Schwab in!
Save with 0% financing or lease rates as low as 1.9% on 2024 half-ton trucks.
Right now!
At Schwab Chevrolet Buick GMC in Leduc. Right Schwabbing now!
They are nice, tasting just right. You can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle noodle.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan. For all your residential water needs, your local water treatment company, more than just big bottles. Culligan.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 4 o'clock. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Declan Cougar running things at Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. This is Sports 1440, sports1440.ca. The Gregor Show is always brought to you by our title sponsor, PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game, of course, if you want to be in on the Four Nations. Heck, you want to be in on just the Daily Grand. $1,000 a day for the next 20 years. Draw goes tonight. Get your tickets. PlayAlberta.ca. Also, their rapid jackpot is up to an estimated $1.5 million tonight. Good luck. Stephen Ellis will join us from Daily Faceoff later on this hour. We got 5 questions, and we got Spec, head coach of the Elks, Mark Killam, joining us in the 5 o'clock hour. A big topic of conversation today, I think, if you're watching Team Canada, is goaltending. And they're playing the U.S. It's a rivalry game. It's going to be a little bit more physical. You pick Sam Bennett on the team. If you don't play him against the U.S., are you ever playing him? Like, I got to think you got to play him. So I could see him coming in maybe for connecting, maybe for someone else. We'll see. But I have to think he's going to get in the lineup. So the question I have for all of you listeners, who are you going in goal against the USA? Who and why? Is it Binnington? Is it Hill? Now, Binnington, he wasn't good until overtime was excellent. But you can make the argument if he doesn't let in the Kempy goal, then they probably don't go to overtime. He had no chance on the like the first goal through a screen upstairs. I don't have a big issue with that goal. The third goal, obviously, didn't have much of a chance. Down low 2-on-1 across the crease. Like, what are you going to do there? So, that was more on Morrissey. I'm not sure why off of a face-off in the defensive zone, Josh Morrissey as the D-man ends up at the top of the circle. That's just I don't care what formation you're running defensively. It's not really where you want your defenseman going, right? You want your winger up there, not necessarily your D-man. So it got a little bit too aggressive at that point. Cons?
Gregor, this just coming down. Chris Johnson reporting that sources are saying Team Canada is having Thomas Harley travel to Boston as a standby defenseman.
Yeah, so he's allowed to go there, but he can't practice with the team or anything. It's a very weird situation. Like, this is something that when you get to the next World Cup, this is a very simple, easy fix. If you lose a player, you should be able to bring in someone. To me, it's just that simple. Like, what do we is this some sort of, we're going to fake an injury to bring in someone we didn't want that we just played in the opening game? Like, of course not. So if you're all about player safety, then that's what you should be doing, right? Get the guy in there early and away you go. So, because obviously they'll play Sanheim in Montreal on Saturday, and then their last 2 games, if there is a fourth game, are both in Boston. So I get why they do it, and away you go. It makes sense. So Thomas Harley, really good player. We got lots of texts to get to. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440. Hey, guys, for this tournament, the jerseys are distinctly different enough. I don't think it's an issue, but most NHL jerseys have 2 or 3 colors on them and are a little bit more difficult, including the primary colors. Well, let's just look at the orders. The order's blue versus the Flames red. Where's the conflict? Right? The Oilers, now, like I said, you couldn't do it for every game. But I'm saying when the opportunity is there, why wouldn't you look at it? I don't see it being a big, it might only be 20 games a year, 50 in the whole season amongst NHL teams. It's an opportunity, I believe, for your fans to see different jerseys at time on home ice. That's all. It's small little things that just, it's a long season. If you can change something up that's not going to change the fabric of your game, it's not going to change, it's not a significant rule change. It's just an option at certain times. Like, hey, they have third jerseys. What's the difference? I don't see a difference at all. So we're talking about when both teams are wearing darks, which is what's going to happen in this tournament. Now, I know that yellow it's not white. It's a color. It's not white. Okay. But look at the U.S. The U.S. blue will be taking on Canada's red. I think it's going to look great. I love it. I just think with the contrast of the white ice, you always need a white jersey. If there's times when you don't, would you look at it? I would. I think it would be. I think it'd be great. Hey guys, Germany could be the Canada of soccer. You never know. Well, in the men's Canadian soccer, what have they done at the World Cup? So I'm not sure that's the best example, right? Like Canada's improving, awesome. But you look at this tournament, and first of all, keep in mind the timing of the tournament for future World Cups. When we're talking about the format, because they've secured it 2020. Basically, you're going to have Olympics in 26, All-Star Game in 27. You're going to have a World Cup in 28. All-Star Game in 29. Now, I'm not comparing the All-Star Game. I'm just saying that's going to be their marquee. The All-Star Game now will happen basically every 2 years. It'll just be on kind of the odd years, right? 27, 29, 31, 33, etc. And it's not going to be intense. I don't compare it to this. I'm not sure why people do. Why would anyone in their right mind, this games are more entertaining than the All-Star Game? Well, of course they are. No one expects the All-Star. You're not playing for your country. You're not playing for anything. It's shinny hockey. And that's what it's supposed to be. It's like a break, and it's really for young kids who want to see the best players together. They want to see what type of sticks they use. Trust me now. Like my son, when we watch the game, he's like, why is this guy using that stick? Oh, this guy, I have no idea. I don't know what the sticks are, but that's what kids are into now. Great. I'm learning about sticks. I have no idea. Ask me, he's like, hey, why don't you ask him about this or that? So it's actually good for me. So I've had some conversation with guys about different sticks and stuff like that. Right? Because that's what kids look for. I think it's kind of cool. So that's fine. But that's what the All-Star Game is. But I will say last night, watching the game with my son, and got to remember, he's only 11. He's never seen a game like this for Canada. Ever. He was only 3 in 2016, not old enough. Actually, only 2.5. So he was watching last night, and in the first period, he was so excited, and because on his PS5 that he plays NHL hockey on, you can build your team, right? And they do something where there's balls and the numbers, and turns out that a lot of the good players are on one team. Not all of them, but lots of the good ones. And he was watching. He's like, Dad, I just can't believe that McKinnon and McDavid and McCarr, and he's a big Braden Point fan, and Drew Doughty, he knows more so because of the buddies that guys he's gotten to know, and when he goes in order game, how they cheer against Doughty, and just thinks it's funny. My buddy Sean, and he was watching it, and it was just like, he was giddy. And so it's always a good reminder what the game's about. And you know what? He was just blown away to see all these guys on one team. And it's like an all-star game. And I'm like, well, that's what Sweden's team is, the same thing, right? And naming all the Swedish players, oh geez, they're all on the same team too. Yeah, well, that's how it is. And so he can't wait now for Canada-US. Right? Because he's looked up the rosters. He knows all the players now and all the teams. And he's just like, man, this is amazing. And so now when he watches the All-Star Game, he's more excited for different things. But there should be a moratorium. If you're a grown adult and you complain about the All-Star Game, you really have to, you're the problem, not the All-Star Game. because you have these unrealistic expectations and you've forgotten what the All-Star game is about. It's a fun game, and it's really for young kids to be pumped up to see some of the best players together. Now, the All-Star game could get better if they just actually had the most deserving players, not one from each team, but whatever. Baby steps. Baby steps. Hey, guys, they try to grow the game internationally. It's a myopic take to just have Canada versus U.S. from the real Duke. Well, Duke, here's the question. When we say grow the game internationally, where are we growing it? Is Finland, is it going to grow more in Finland? Is it going to grow more in Sweden? They're pretty much hockey nations. Where are you growing it? Germany a bit? Okay. But you know where the biggest growth in hockey is right now? The United States. Right? It's always been in Russia. Right? Czechia, Slovakia. So, are you going to grow it in China? Honestly? How many ice facilities do you have? You can play all the games you want there. If the young kids don't have places to play, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. So I look at the NHL and you have a really untapped market in the United States of lots of people who aren't hockey fans. If you want to talk realistically about growing the game, that's where you grow it. Where 25 of your 32 teams are. That's where you grow the game. And by having more Canada-US best on best series, it makes perfect sense to me. If you had it as Canada-US a best of 5 in North America, and at the same time, you had a best of 5 Sweden versus Finland, and then you had a best of 5 Russia versus, I don't care, probably Czechia. I think they're the most competitive one. Great. Now, the other nations, you know what? If you wanted to have a mini tournament with them at the same time, great. But if we're talking ways to keep the excitement about hockey in your nation, which is keep fueling your main audience, and trust me, you can still grow the game in Canada. You can get new fans. People come here that have moved to the country. They never watched hockey before. But as we talked about yesterday on the show, field hockey is massive in India. Massive. Hockey is very similar, played on a different surface, but similar. And that's why a lot of them, they like the sport, right? Because they can understand it having played field hockey. Rules are different, but there's a lot of similarities to it. So it's easy to say, okay, well, we do this here. Okay, I get that. I understand it. What's offside? Okay, sure. Way you go. But I think at times we say things that aren't true. And this whole, growing the game globally. Does the NFL have to grow the game globally? No. They dominate, and they dominate where they're at. It's fine. And so hockey hasn't reached where they're oversaturated in North America. They've really just kind of started to tap into the American market, Connor, if we're being bluntly honest. It's true. And MLS is coming kind of past the NHL lately. The NHL, I think, actually needs to focus more on it. And by doing Canada-US would actually help them.
Yeah, I mean, get that rivalry going. The TV deals, I think, with TNT and ESPN has been a massive thing. But every year during the playoffs, we find those guys that kind of pop up. Was it Tony X a few years ago that just discovered hockey and loved it? And there's tons of those people who don't get a chance to watch it because you're so consumed by college football, college basketball, the NFL, Major League Baseball. There's tons of opportunities in the United States, I think, to grow the game. I'm not opposed to trying in these other markets elsewhere, but you have it right in your backyard. It's a lot easier, I think, to try to find new fans in the southern states, the non-traditional hockey markets, than to go across the ponds and try to grow the game there, right? So I'd kind of worry about your backyard first and then expand elsewhere.
Yeah. And I'd have no problem. You think about Finns and Swedes get to go home. It's a huge rivalry, and you have a best of 5. When was the last time Finland and Sweden had a best of 5? That would be a massive for those two countries. Canada-US, when was the last time you had a best of 5? Canada-US, how about never? In men's hockey, you've had it in women's hockey, never had it in men's. Right? The last time you had a best-on-best series longer than 3 was 1972 when it was Canada and Russia. And people still talk about it. Some will say it's the greatest hockey event. Now, there's political landscape, everything else, sure. But like any series, the longer it goes, the more the animosity is, everything's heightened. It would be unreal. Honestly, to me, like you don't have to have all the nations playing each other because that's what one format is. Make yours different, right? Just because the World Cup of Soccer plays it their way, great. Doesn't mean you have to continue to do it that way. Think outside the box. Take other thoughts and be like, could this help us? All I know is Canadians, you're going to watch the US-Finland game tonight. It's going to register about 10% on the emotional scale of last night, maybe lower, because it doesn't involve your country. And even if you can manufacture animal, well, maybe not even manufacture, but you might, God, I can't stand the States. But it's not going to be the same. But if you had 5 games, Canada, US, at a World Cup, and whatever, there's, you just win the series. It's not about the cup. It's about the emotion and the excitement that we build during it. I think it would be unreal. I'd love it. Now, do I think they're going to do it? Probably not. But it would be great. At bare minimum, I'd love the final to be a best of 3. Because that's what I've seen in Canada Cups and World Cups in the past, and it was awesome. So I don't care who's in the final. Best of 3 is better. Hey, Greg's, by the way, I'm going Aiden Hill. Perfect opportunity, and then who's ever the strongest, you just get to ride. That one comes from the Grazer. Guys, I'm going with Aiden Hill for sure. Binnington did not secure his spot after last night's performance. That one comes in from Colby. Hey, Greg, you said you crunched numbers, but then you have to consider the mindset of the teams. So when you're in the close game or tied up by 1 or 2 or 3 to 5 minutes, it's a different mindset. Well, that's my point. Man. But the thing is, the gap between the top 16, which is still the top 16, do I think that suddenly the mindset of the non-playoff teams would allow them to be better? I can't buy it. So we're talking about, does the 3-2-1 system? No. All it does is create bigger separation. Even within your own division, Edmonton was 10 points behind Vancouver instead of 5. Right? It lowers the races for every position in the standings, just creates more separation. 3-2-1 point format is great in a short tournament. It's not good in an 82-game season because at the end of the day, the good teams are still the good teams, and 99% of the time, it's not going to change anything. Now, you might have had the odd, you would have had Toronto and Tampa Bay sweep, but because they tied in points. But would that have been different with the mindset during the year? I don't know. Maybe one game, but it's not going to alter suddenly. Oh, if we have a 3-2-1 series, these non-playoff teams are suddenly going to get in. No, they're not. You're just going to have a way bigger gap between the non-playoff teams and the playoff teams. And you'll be teams that are, oh my God, they're 30 points out. Right? And let's say you're 6 points out of the playoffs. Well, that's close. Well, now you're 12 points out of the playoffs. Not that close. So 3-2-1 should never come to the NHL. I've heard people talk about it. They haven't looked deep enough in it. They haven't thought big picture. It would be awful. You would have way more people losing interest. There'd be fewer races for seeding and the playoffs, and it would not be good at all. Quick break. When we come back, Stephen Ellis will join us. Do we continue the hockey talk, both the NHL and even a little bit of prospect talk with Stephen next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Actions speak louder than words. Japa Machinery Group puts your construction plan into action with XCMG construction machinery you need. Available for rental or sale. Learn more at japamachinery.com. Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
At Hughes, it's all about getting in and out quick and clean. No cash, no problem. With Hughes' new tap and wash system, all you need is your debit or credit card to get your vehicle sparkling clean.
Find us at hughescarwash.com.
It may sound cliche, but it's true. Building something new starts with a solid foundation. At GS Construction, we're growing Edmonton subdivisions with deep utility services and infrastructure that lasts. Every new project begins with skilled people like you, building communities from the ground up. GS Construction is hiring. So if you're a foreman or a pipe layer that's looking to put your skills to work for Edmonton and area in 2025, we'd love to hear from you. Visit gsconstruction.ca and join a team that digs deep and builds stronger.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Introducing the new McSpicy from McDonald's. It looks like a regular chicken sandwich, but it's actually a spicy chicken sandwich. McSpicy. Consider yourself warned. Limited time only. Participate in McDonald's in Canada.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$423. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Also, sports1440.ca. Get us on the app. I know many of you listen to it as you're driving all around the province and the country, and some of you take it to the beach. We love it. Thank you very much. At iHeartRadio, Radio Player app, or the Stingray app. We are live in West Edmonton Mall in the E-Well Studios, EWEL. Your partners in power since 1975. Also, Dave just want to pass on. He is loving the tournament so far. One game in, everybody's hooked. Why not? It was a great opening night for Canada and Sweden, and I got a lot of people intrigued about the 10-minute overtime. I could see the NHL going to 7 minutes because McDavid said he loved it. McKinnon said he was gassed afterwards, so maybe he didn't like it. Now I will say this: the pace of play in that game was higher than 90% of regular season games. So I don't know if he'd be as gassed on a Tuesday night when Colorado was playing Boston, for instance. But if you wanted to start, I could see them even expand it to 7 or 8 minutes of 3-on-3 first and see where it goes. But it isn't. I think more 3-on-3 is better because it leads to fewer shootouts. The fewer shootouts, the better. I don't know one fan who prefers to watch a shootout over overtime. I'm sure there might be some. I just never met him. Everybody I watch, like, God, I like the overtime better. As you should. It's more entertaining, right? Especially when they start going back and forth. So get rid of the over and back would be even better. Even if you want to say, hey, over and back, you can't carry it over, whatever. I'd be all for it. All for it. Let's go in the room, brought to you by Action Electrical. They remind you want to take action on your savings. You've been thinking about it, humming and hawing. Well, don't hum and haw anymore. Go to actionelectrical.net and they can give you all the best advice, help you get the best prices to get solar for your home or your business. And there's some great tax savings right now you can get on your business at actionelectrical.net. As Stephen Ellis from Daily Faceoff joins us. Steve, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you doing?
Oh, Fantastic, man. I love the opening game. Obviously there's a little bit more for me as a Canadian to watch last night. I still will watch US and Finland because Canada's going to play both of those games in those teams in the next two games. And the format makes the outcome, very important because Canada could beat Finland and still miss the playoffs, depending on how things unfold here because of, Sweden getting 1 point in their loss last night. So I guess let's kind of go through the whole gamut of the game. And what stood out most for you from a Canadian perspective, and then follow up with what stood out most for you for Sweden?
I think from the Canadian perspective, it was just how much speed they were playing with. And I know there were some comments from Drew Doughty on the media day talking about how this is the fastest, the speediest Canadian team he has ever seen. And I think you watch Connor McDavid last night, and obviously we know what he could do with the Oilers. I felt like he started really good and then just had a fine game at best. There was a lot of plays that just seemed to die, not necessarily his fault, but what he was always doing was bringing the speed. And you go out there and you see guys like Cirelli working hard and Reinhart working hard and Marner working hard. It's like there's so many speedy weapons there. And then you look at that Swedish team where they were doing a good job of containing that speed with their blue line. They have some good size there, especially with Victor Hedman. We saw Erik Karlsson play one of the best hockey games I've seen him play in years. I thought Gustav Forsling and Rasmus Dahlin were good. And then you look at Jonas Brodin, an unlikely goal scorer there. So I think when you look at that, Canada had the speed, Sweden brought the defense, and I think that's partly why we saw a pretty close score in the end.
Yeah, you're right, McDavid. Like Canada, I think if they look back in that game when they were up 2-0, they hadn't given up a shot. They probably needed to be up 3-0. I thought they kind of dominated the game to that level, and they just, some of their best chances didn't result in even good scoring chances. They ended up passing it or waiting too long and stuff. And that happens. There was a lot of emotion in the game. The third period wasn't ideal. Josh Morrissey's play off of that face-off after the icing. I can't recall the last time off a face-off in the D zone that one of the defensemen within seconds ends up at the top of the circle. It's just not where he should have been.
Yeah, it was definitely a game where you look at an overall standpoint where they were still trying to feel each other out. And that's kind of the case for everyone there. I know you look at Sweden and Finland, a lot of these guys have played together internationally, but for the most part, we're talking like a decade ago, like at the U16, U17 level. There's been a lot of hockey since then. So I think that's what we kind of expected for that first game, and then the game tomorrow, where tonight, I should say, the guys that are playing roles, they're just not used to in some cases. And maybe like Josh Morrissey doesn't have to be the guy for Canada. And, if Connor McDavid gets shut down, they have Sidney Crosby. So there's going to be guys that are playing in slightly different roles than they're used to. And I feel like it was just a bit of a feeling out process, because you look at that and like heading into the third period, we were looking at something like 40 shots combined, which with all the talent on the ice was kind of surprising. Like at the same time, I like to watch international hockey. As you know, I was watching China versus Kazakhstan at the Asian Winter Games, and these guys were like 40 shots each. The big difference between the hockey levels there, obviously, between Team Canada, like Olympic level, and China, not exactly Olympic level. But it just felt like we were lacking all that chemistry that would allow for more shots. And sure, there's good defense on both sides. I was hoping for a bit more of a wild game.
Yeah, that's fair. Can Finland keep the game close tonight?
I think so. I think the one thing that it's kind of strange, because the whole talk about this team has been their not so great defense, but we've seen from Finland at so many different tournaments that all they need is people to doubt them, and they're going to make you look stupid. And I think the biggest example of that was the 2019 World Championship, where that team had 0 NHL players on it. They had to go out there and beat Russia, who had Evgeny Malkin and Alex Ovechkin and all these star players. Then they went out and beat Canada in the gold medal game, another team with a full NHL lineup. Finland did not have a single NHLer. The key player in that tournament was Kevin Lankinen, the backup goalie tonight, but he was also actually at that point still an ECHL goaltender. I think when you look at the Finns, they're obviously lacking that talent. UC Saros hasn't been good this year. But in a tournament where anything can happen, you just need someone like Saros to play like he did last year when he brought Nashville as far as they did, and even the year before that. You need Alex Barkov to just be a really good defensive forward. And that's the thing. Yeah, on paper, there's different talent levels here. But for the Finns, if they could play that shutdown hockey that we know their forwards can do, they actually might be a bit tougher than some people are giving them credit for. But on paper, yeah, it does look a little one-sided.
Yeah, it definitely does. Stephen, what do you think they do in goal for Canada? Hill, Binnington.
I think if you played Binnington in that first game, knowing obviously a bit of a shaky decision there. And I'd say that, yeah, those 2 goals he allowed were not great. That third one, hard to do much about that one. That was a high danger chance with 2 guys basically making a great play in front with no Canadian defenseman in sight. But then he really redeemed himself. And I think that's something that, again, you look at the stats, not a spectacular game, but it felt like every time he allowed a goal, he then bounced back with a really big save, a very important save. And he was very dialed in after that third goal. He played pretty good in overtime. And yeah, there's a lot of reasons to be against Binnington as the starting goalie because he's not been that great overall, but he's a guy that when he gets locked in and dialed in, he can steal games. But again, in this situation like this, it feels like they made that decision to pick Binnington as the number 1. You want your goalie to be in it 100%. I don't think this is a tournament where we're going to see a lot of switching back and forth just because of how short it is. So I do think they are going to go back to Binnington.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Because I wonder if they look and say, hey, I guess if you have a clear-cut starter, I didn't see him as a clear-cut. Maybe I disagree with how they evaluate him, but he played okay last night. Yeah, he was good in overtime, but they got to overtime because he let in a terrible goal on Kempe. So, we'll see. I think Aiden Hill, Aiden Hill's had a better year. He's had a better few years. So because Canada, you lose that game to the US, in theory, that could knock you out of the tournament, technically, even if you beat the Finns, right? Because then you wait, now we go Aiden Hill against the Finns. You're like, geez, did we lose it? So, yeah, I can make an argument both ways. I think they're going to go Hill, but we'll see. That's who I would do. I would play Hill, but I'm not sold they will. I would do it.
I know who I'd pick, and it's neither of those 2 players, and it's not someone who didn't make the team.
Montembeault?
With the highs for Samuel Montembeault this year, in the season long, if you look at the advanced analytics, he's a top 10 goalie in the NHL in a lot of key analytics this year, and he has been from the very start. He had a bit of a rough January, even when the Habs are winning games, where he was getting outplayed by Jacob Dobas. But at his best, the highs have been much higher this year. I thought there should have been at least a bit more consideration for him to be the starter.
Okay, interesting. Stephen Ellis joins us from Daily Faceoff. What about Sam Bennett? Is that an obvious inclusion for you against a physical U.S. team?
Yeah, that's a guy that he's having a good season. I thought probably could have been in that lineup there, but again, I do wonder how much line changing we are going to see for this Canadian team, because it did feel like there was a lot of again, feeling out from that last game. Now you make a line change again, or is that going to happen? I don't know. So I think, put it this way, I'm not really concerned about the physicality side of things, because it's not going to be hard for these players to be motivated on a Saturday night, Canada, USA, Montreal, best on best. I think everyone's going to go out there with looking for blood.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they'll be looking for blood, but the fourth line allowed 2 goals. So I think that probably makes it a little easier. And, in a tournament like this, like Sanheim's getting in, I don't think Bennett is a clear-cut, obvious 13th forward. So I could see why the organization might say, hey, we brought this guy here. Let's get him in a game.
Yeah. And it will be interesting, because when you look at this, slightly different roster rules than what you see at the Olympics, where you do have the 7th defenseman and the 13th forward, which is weird that they wouldn't, given that this is kind of an Olympic tune-up, why wouldn't they do a 13th forward thing? And why would they not do a 7th defenseman, kind of like we see at every other international event? That just gives you a bit more flexibility out there. And I like the idea of having that 13th forward being someone who could be maybe a power play master or just kill penalties, and they're always ready to go type thing. But I'm not the one making the rules.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Stephen Ellis joins us at 10 minutes of 3-on-3. Got a lot of people excited. Do you think the NHL will incorporate it soon?
I hope so. And I've been pushing for that as basically my biggest rule change I'd make. And I think with the 5-on-5 overtime, it's so short where both teams can go out there and just wait it out a little bit. All right, yeah, the shootout's coming in a few minutes. We could do that. But with the longer overtimes, I feel like it forces them to actually be a bit more active, because those players are going to get more time. And we see with the NHL, I feel like they over-police, or not over-police, but they over-coach how overtime is done. But we don't see that at other levels. Like, you watch like the Spangler Cup, and the 3-on-3 overtime will be the most exciting hockey you see in an entire year. World Junior, same thing. It feels like this, like, when you would get a situation where the players get a bit more tired, and it might make for more mistakes. It might make for a bit more interesting overtime there. But at the same time, like I think I speak for everyone where we don't want games ending in the shootout. At the same time, as people like you would know from going to hockey games, it can be a bit logistically challenging if the game just keeps going on forever, right? Like if we do a 10-minute overtime and then the break and then a shootout. So there's that issue of trying to get out of a rink at a reasonable time, especially public transit. So there's that. But I think I'd rather see games end in overtime than a game end in a shootout. And I think most people would agree there.
Oh, 100%. To me, I would, yeah, I'd be curious now. My other thing is if they go to 10 minutes, though, they have to eliminate over and back. I think there's too much time now in overtime that nothing happens because guys are just circling back out of the zone. It's brutal.
Yeah, and we've seen it in some tournaments, actually, of all obscure things. I saw it happen in a game where it was between Jamaica and Greece, where they would not let players go back in 3-on-3. And it was actually really fun because it basically every play was like just high octane, like we got to make something happen. And again, there's got to be some rules for that because you only kind of see like the way the NHL does their 3-on-3. It's the only level where it feels like it takes forever to actually make a decision. You see in Europe, you see even in the AHL, it's more just go at all times. And that's especially what you see that in junior hockey where the players don't want to waste time. They are just flying like their life depends on it for the entirety of overtime, and it makes it fun.
Steve, quickly, young Misa is having himself quite a season. I know you watch the prospects a lot. Is he the number one pick in your eyes? Where do you see in this season as Michael Misa's, younger player who's getting stronger as the season goes along?
Yeah, he's having a really good season. I think he was early in the first half on a bit of a higher goal scoring rate than I think we're going to see him finish. At one point, he was on pace for like 75 goals. We aren't talking like 10, 15 games in the season. We're talking like 30. But with him, I have him as my number 3. I feel like there's some points away from the puck where he just isn't completely there. He's got that ability to win puck battles. He's got some good size. I just want to see that intensity ramp up a bit more. And because there are times where he looks like a bit of a passenger, but he got exceptional status a couple years ago. He broke Connor McDavid's OHL Cup scoring record for a reason, and that's because he's always in the right spot at the right time. And I think he could potentially be an NHL player as early as next season.
Yeah, well, yeah, that'd be interesting for sure on that one. I see the season he's having, and when I see a guy with that much skill, I'm like, I think you can always improve some of the other elements, but it's really hard to improve top end skill.
Yeah, I wouldn't take him over James Higgins, who's just incredibly smart. I wouldn't take him over Matthew Schaefer, who's a special defenseman that you don't find often in the draft, but that's a pretty good number 3.
Yeah. See, I'd take Misa over Higgins. It's me, but that's probably me being a little biased. So we'll see. But it's a fantastic season. The numbers he's putting up, you just don't see from draft eligible players very often. Anyone else maybe here in the second half, the last few months, really impressed you more as a prospect and has jumped up your rankings?
Definitely got to look at Carter Bear out of Everett, a guy that just can't seem to be taken off the score sheet at any point. And he's a fitness freak. He's a guy that you look at him, he's so athletic, he's so quick, he's very energetic even in the later parts of the game, which we don't always see from solid prospects. So this is a guy that's going to smash that 100-point barrier, is going to look really good. And as Everett tries to make the Memorial Cup, I think he's going to be a key piece of it.
Steve, great stuff as always, man. We appreciate it. Enjoy the tournament.
Yep, thanks so much.
There you go. That's Stephen Ellis from Daily Faceoff. We'll return with 5 questions, and we got Spec. We also have Mark Killam, head coach of the Green and Gold, joining us in about 40 minutes' time. We'll return on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Oodle noodle origins. In 1864, Francis Oodle took over his dying father's business as a leatherman. He was quite proficient.
Or CRG program.
Was never
Thursday after 40.
After his father's death,
as
a cocksure young man named Vladimir Nudel, who was a trailblazer in the popular new art of food
before
boxes.
they find,
we got
where kind of show who's due for
Nudel was renamed David
recent report.
And henceforth,
next Thursday.
the franchise has been known has.
Noodle. You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is On the Rocks. Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Hey, did you know you can get a free drink today?
Nice. I love free drinks.
Yeah, Booster Juice called your name today on the Booster Rewards app. So you get a free smoothie, booster mixer, or fresh juice.
Well then, why are we still sitting here just talking about it?
Watch for your name on the Booster Rewards app and social media. 2 names every day, all February long. Must be a Booster Rewards app member. For complete details, visit boosterjuice.com.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Attention drivers, it's the Midwinter Tire Clearance Sale at Fountain Tire. Right now, you can save up to 20% off all in-stock winter tires. That's right, premium brands, unbeatable safety, and incredible savings. But don't wait, this sale ends March 8th. And once they're gone, they're gone. Contact your local Fountain Tire for complete details.
Adventure just doesn't stumble into your life. It roars to life with Riverside Motorsports. Tearing up trails or cruising the open road, Yamaha ATVs, side-by-sides, motorcycles, and dirt bikes deliver the performance you crave. Built for thrills, ready for your next adventure. Yamaha's legendary performance and reliability take you there. Make Mother Nature your playground on a Yamaha from Riverside Motorsports. Located on St. Albert Trail. RideRiverside.com. Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
It's the final weekend of the Bricks Friends and Family Sale. Get up to 25% off sofas, love seats, and sectionals. Up to 20% off bedroom and dining. Buy more, save more. Up to $1,000 off major kitchen appliances. And save up to $500 on big screen TVs. Plus, upgrade your sleep with a queen mattress for the price of a twin. Last chance to save like your friends and family. Some exclusions apply. Visit thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Hair Aware with Dr. Vance Elliott.
Hey, Doc, I really want my hair restoration to fly under the radar, but I recently read that men have to shave their heads and go full Lex Luthor before treatment.
The majority of my patients don't require head shaving because we can work around it. I can perform a no-shave FUE transplant or an FUT transplant if we determine that a transplant is necessary. Let's discuss your options.
Trust a world-renowned expert in hair restoration. Book an appointment at drvanceelliott.com today.
Listen, baby.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
445, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Thanks for listening and joining us this afternoon. Text line is humming 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. As we get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick, where it's a final days, or you can get the Brick's Friends and Family Sale. Shop like an insider. Huge savings, up to 25% off sofas, love seats, matching chairs, and sectionals. But it ends today at The Brick and thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, Jason, question number 1. What would you say your biggest takeaway was from Canada's win over Sweden last night?
Well, I think it's a little bit of a blown opportunity for Edmonton, to be honest. Or sorry, Edmonton, for Canada. You're up 2-0. You're up 3-1 to start the third. I think you got to put that game away. Now, they won, which is great. And obviously winning's better than losing. But because of the format, that not winning in regulation, now they're only 1 point up on Sweden rather than being 3 points up on Sweden. It's a big difference. So, because, had you won in regulation and then you beat Finland in regulation, well, now, you know what, you'd have to go into multiple tiebreakers potentially to lose out to Sweden. This way, you could lose to the U.S., beat Finland, but if Sweden beats Finland and manages to beat the U.S., well, then they're in. So that's a little bit of a tough pill.
Yeah, can't disagree with you on that one. For me, I love best on best hockey. It's not really much of a breakdown or anything, but when you can just roll out these lines and all of a sudden there's McDavid with Marner, and then you've got Sid the Kid with Nathan McKinnon, and then Braden Point and Brad Marchand. It's awesome. I feel like I was sleeping on it, a little crow. The second I saw all these guys in warmups, I thought, okay, this is going to be awesome. So my biggest takeaway is just that it's awesome, and it's been too long since we've had it. Question 2, I was going to ask you about Bennington, but we've got a lot of answers on that already. So how about a prediction for tonight? What do you think the score is going to be when the United States takes on Finland?
Well, I don't know, man. I think this is to me be a big upset on if they win. But for like tonight, what am I expecting? I'm expecting USA to win. I just don't know by how much. And then we'll see. But I hope Finland, I'll be rooting for them, but I'm not giving them much chance.
Yeah, I'm with you. Unfortunately, that back end I think is going to get tested. I'll say if I was a betting person, USA puck line to win by at least 2 goals in this one. Question number 3 for you, and it's going to be a 2-parter. Aaron Rodgers won't be back with the Jets next year. So where will he play if he does? And who's going to be the Jets starting quarterback next season?
Go ahead.
Aaron Rodgers next year. We were having some fun on Fantasy Frenzy saying Minnesota. Vikings fans don't want him to follow the Brett Favre arc. So I'll say he goes to Vegas, and I will say the Jets starting quarterback next year will be Justin Fields.
Justin Fields?
Yeah.
Interesting. Ahead of Tyrod Taylor. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's not bad. Yeah, it's funny about Minnesota, why? They got Darnold had a very good year, and I know it didn't end the way they wanted, and then they got their young quarterback. So I don't think Minnesota's remote chance. Who's another? I think the Jets. Who do they think can be their Sam Darnold? Honestly,
could it be Sam Darnold?
No, I don't think. Sometimes, you know what? There's just some scarred memories from that place. I don't know if he can go back there, but that's a good question.
Could Kirk Cousins be gone?
Yeah, I thought about him maybe. I was even thinking, you were saying Fields. I was like, is Pittsburgh going to keep Russell Wilson? I don't know, but you know what? I'll go with Kirk Cousins. I like that one.
All right, question number 4. We've got the NBA skills competition this weekend. Well, we'll talk dunks tomorrow maybe. But if you had to have one player in NBA history take a 3-pointer for you to win $1 million, who's getting the call? My only condition cannot be Steph Curry.
Ray Allen.
Okay. Good one.
You?
Declan has a good answer for us, allegedly. I was looking through the winners.
Come give us your answer, Deck.
Jason Capono won it when he was at the Raptors, but I'm going to go with Big Shot Bob, Robert Ory. He always stepped up and hit a big shot for the Lakers, the Spurs.
So is this just a 3-pointer, like open? No, it's not in a game.
Yeah, just kind of
Okay.
like imagine
It's a one shot for
halftime
a million.
show. Yeah,
Okay.
one shot, uncontested. You got Ray Allen. I'm taking big shot Bob Declan.
Who's he taking?
Yeah, come over here. Yeah, we'll wave you in.
Well, I got really curious with the question, so I went back, did some digging. Turns out there's only one player in NBA history who's top 10 in three-point makes and three-point percentage, and that's Kyle Korver. 8th in makes, 10th in percentage. So I'll take Kyle Korver. Steph
Where's
is close.
Steph Curry?
He's 1st in makes, 13th in percentage, and the only other guy who's kind of close is Klay Thompson, 5th in makes, 21st in percentage. For reference, Ray Allen, 3rd in makes, 37th in percentage.
All right.
There you go. Larry Bird might have been a good one as well.
Ooh, yeah. Big LB.
Final question for you. Today is the late Jerry Springer's birthday. Were you a fan of his show? And what would you say is your favorite talk show of all time?
I can't say I was a fan, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't waste some time watching it at times. Just being like, I know this is an absolute train wreck and it's awful, but I would, I found it was a good hungover show, to be honest. But what would be my favorite talk show of all time? Well, it's probably going to be Night Show, I guess. And I like when I was younger, I didn't watch a lot of like the weekday late shows. When I was working the oil field, I was never up that late, so I didn't watch like Letterman or anybody like that. So I'd probably have to go. The one I maybe watched the most, who makes me chuckle, is Fallon. He's just a pretty upbeat, positive guy. He's pretty talented in a lot of little different things he does. So I'd probably go Jimmy Fallon. You?
Just got a text in here. Jerry Seinfeld isn't dead. Jerry Springer is who we're talking about.
Yeah,
here.
we said Jerry Springer. You didn't say Jerry
I don't think I said Seinfeld.
No, you said Springer.
For me,
and you said birthday.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a late Jerry Springer.
It's his late birthday. Yeah. He passed away last 2023, unfortunately. I would not watch that show unless I was sick. Like, it seemed like you'd watch Price is Right and then try to get some lunch down and then watch Jerry Springer or Ricky Lake or one of those shows. So I wouldn't say it was like appointment television for me. Kind of felt like it just gave me anxiety as a kid. Like, too much was going on. It almost didn't seem real. Favorite talk show, if it counts, Best Damn Sports Show, period. I used to love that show. If not that, got to be Conan. Love Conan O'Brien.
Okay. Yeah, Conan's pretty funny. What's his name? I always forget his last name. Craig, the English guy. His show is pretty funny.
Ferguson?
Yeah, Ferguson. Yeah, he was pretty funny. So, but I was never a guy who watched a ton of I watch Fallon. Like, my wife likes it, so sometimes, you know what, if I come, she's watching, I'll watch a little bit of it. But I always find him just to be upbeat. I don't mind it. But overall, I was never a huge talk show guy. I like certain interview parts of it, but if I see a good interview, I might sit by. But yeah, I was never a big late show guy or talk show. And then definitely like Ricky Lake, awful. Oprah Winfrey had some good content at times, for sure. Like, not every guest, not every show. Hey, trust me, I host a show every day. Not every show is great. I know that. You just try not to have them suck. And that's probably open for opinion if they do or not. But I think with some guests are going to be more appealing than others. Some days it's going to be more appealing than others. Oprah talked about a lot of serious stuff at times, which I thought was good. And that was at more like dinner time, right? Like 5 to 6.
Yeah,
is when I think it used to be on. So better time. But
I always wanted to be on those Christmas giveaway shows. She would just give away everybody.
You get a car. You get a car.
Everybody got something. That was the dream.
Have you ever been in a studio audience of any show?
No. I want it, if I ever go to New York or something, I'd love to try to get in for late night.
It's pretty hard, I hear, right? Somebody out there listening, somebody must have been an audience of, whether it's The Price is Right or does Jeopardy have a live studio audience? I think they do. The late shows. Any of you be out there listening, have you been in the audience? Now, maybe someone super lucky is being a contestant on The Price is Right. That'd be pretty damn hard, I would think. To get in, you see it, obviously it's the luck of the draw. I guess it's not hard. It's just, you need some luck to do it. But, hey guys, I went to The Price is Right at the River Cree. Yes, but a little bit different. Right? How was it, by the way? I was curious, Brendan. How was it? Hey guys, Maury is always great. You are not the father. Like remember when they used to have like the stage fights and times, like people get on the door, the bouncer would be right there and someone would come up and then they'd start slapping each other and they jump in. I'm like, this is so terrible. Like it was such trash TV, but I'll admit I watch it at times. I'll admit, I watch it at times for sure. Hey boys, I highly recommend Stephen Colbert. He's pretty great. Steph Meyer's segment of the Closer Look good. Well, I guess the one, it's not a talk show, but Saturday Night Live, when they used to do the news, Kevin Allen, was Kevin Allen? He was unreal. Got it like that. And the guys now, the two guys today are pretty funny.
Weekend Update? Yeah.
Weekend Update. Those guys are great. So I don't know if anybody, hey guys, what about Phil Donahue? Classic. Oh, Phil Donahue. Yeah, that was probably a little bit before my time. But I remember Phil. But yeah, I wasn't old enough to really to watch it at all. Or really get into it. So nobody out there. We don't have any texts from anybody who's been in the audience. Obviously, it's pretty hard to get in. Right? Hey, like if you go to New York, like sometimes you got to line up for hours, I hear, just for a chance. So.
Well, Nigel went to Letterman.
Tickets were free. Well, are tickets, like, do you have to buy tickets to get in? To Fallon and stuff? Oh, maybe. Geez, that shows how much I know. I didn't know you had to pay. Well, he went in 2005. How was it, Nigel? Out of 5. Letterman, who was on? I'd be curious. Who was the guest that day? That would always be part of it. Hey, guys, I went to the Jay Leno show. We waited for hours to get in. Got there at 7 a.m. Got to meet him, Rodrigo. That's commitment, man. Good for you. Big time commitment. It's a lot of... You know what? I couldn't do it. I'm not a line waiter. I didn't wait in line at the bars. And I've never waited in line the longest I had to wait in line for any event was the soccer match in Edmonton. And that was just to get in the building. Like I had no choice. So, but waiting in line, and I knew I had tickets, so I knew I'd get in. I've never waited in line for something that I couldn't for sure get into. Kudos to people who do it. Not a line waiter. Don't have the patience. Couldn't do it.
Prax fan has been to Letterman and Conan.
Ooh, look at this guy. All right. Bill Clinton was the guest on Letterman. Not bad. Well, that's a while ago then, I'm guessing. Nice. Let's get to the con man and a sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. They are hiring right now. And if you are the right candidate, guess what? You will get a starting bonus. You also can get strong benefits, RRSP matching, even tuition reimbursement for HVAC installers and plumbers. Apply today at legacyheating.ca.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Four Nation Face-Off continues tonight out in Montreal as Finland takes on the United States. Puck drop just after 6 o'clock. Capo Caco expected to be a scratch for Finland. Mikko Rantanen didn't skate today, but is expected to lace him up. For the United States, looks like Chris Kreider and Jake Sanderson will sit out tonight. The Edmonton Elks have signed American wide receiver Stephen Dunbar Jr. He's back for his second stint with the Green and Gold after a great season with the Tiger Cats, where he set career highs in receptions, receiving yards, and finishing fourth amongst the receivers in yards in 2024. In the PWHL, the Ottawa Charge hosting the Minnesota Crosstown gets going in about 5 minutes' time. In the NBA, just 5 games tonight. Warriors in Houston, Pelicans host the Kings, Heat up against the Mavs, Timberwolves host the Thunder, and the Clippers travel to Salt Lake City to take on the Jazz. From the NFL, the New York Jets announced today that they have told Aaron Rodgers they're moving on without him next season. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and Edmonton Elks head coach Mark Killam. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
You've probably heard the word rehab before. But when GS Construction talks about rehab, we mean bringing aging infrastructure back to life. Water and sewer systems that keep our communities flowing. GS Construction needs skilled pros who know how to get it done safely and efficiently. And that's why we're hiring. If you're a foreman or a pipe layer, apply to a company that's building for Edmonton and area for 2025. Join a team that's as solid as the infrastructure we restore. Visit gsconstruction.ca and join our crew today.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Introducing the new McSpicy from McDonald's. It looks like a regular chicken sandwich, but it's actually a spicy chicken sandwich. McSpicy. Consider yourself warned. Limited time only. Participate in McDonald's in Canada.
Come on, Ed. Nissan is proudly celebrating 60 years in Canada. Our best-selling Rogue is built for everyday adventure and features standard all-wheel drive and dual-zone automatic climate control. Lease the 2025 Rogue for 30 months or finance for 24 months at 0.99%. Plus, get $1,000 anniversary bonus cash. Offer available on S all-wheel drive model. Conditions apply. See Nissan.ca for details.
Visit your local Edmonton and area Nissan dealer for more information.
Your first date was at a food truck. And remember that ring that was just a placeholder? You've always wanted the best for her. And this Valentine's Day, you can get her the best beautiful bouquet. From Bunches Flowers, with petals that pop, colors that catch the eye, and the fragrance of a spring bloom.
They're gorgeous.
Let her know she'll never be less than the best. With affordable luxury from Bunches Flowers. Pre-order now at bunchesflowers.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Japa is digging deep on their 50-year history of supporting Alberta's construction industry with their line of special edition blackout excavators. Visit japamachinery.com for all the details.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Man, this tune still kicks ass. Oh, some songs, man, like that's when you know you have a great song. Like there's some songs that are going to hit for the time. But man, a song that, doesn't matter decades later when it still plays. I don't care who's listening. And it gets people going. It's awesome. That's one of those songs, man. That is a great, great tune. Welcome back to the Thursday edition, February 13th. It is Valentine's Day tomorrow, gentlemen. Ladies. Just say gentlemen, ladies. Now, some of you, I'll just say, don't get your shorts in a knot. It's probably the most fabricated holiday going, right? If you celebrate it, great. It's awesome. Want to show love for that other person. Do they really need it? Depends. They are. Some people are like, what, just do it every day. I don't need to do it on a day where I have to pay 5 times as much for flowers or anything else. So
you got to do something, though, don't you?
Well, you got to do something. Sure, you can send a card.
Like a card at the least, a nice letter, maybe a small box of chocolates. I think you got to do something.
Oh, yeah, you can do something, but I don't think you have to, fall victim to the having to pay huge dollars.
There's a store here, Gregor, in the mall that has a box of chocolates that's $450.
How many chocolates are in it?
Oh, probably like 450. It's massive.
450.
It's a huge box.
See, that'd be too many chocolates.
Diabetes.
And I got a big sweet tooth, but that's too much.
Yeah.
And first of all, if it's 450 and there's 450 chocolates, then they're probably not that good.
Yeah, well, that was just an estimate.
Yeah.
But for $450, I want a lot of chocolate. It's a massive container.
God, like that. Man, I have a huge sweet tooth. I can't convince myself to spend $450 on chocolate. Like, so heat it up and I'm pouring it on something. Maybe. Even then, I don't know. I don't think so. Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Now, I guess if you won the Daily Grand Cons, that could be one of your guests. Guess what? I just got $1,000 today, and I'm getting $1,000 tomorrow, and I'm getting $1,000 in the next 20 years every day. I could probably waste one day on $450 in chocolates. Probably could do it then. So if you want to be that person, get your tickets, PlayAlberta.ca for the Daily Grand. Now, let's get to the spec report brought to you by GSK construction, hey, they don't like wasting your time. So when you get to the construction zone, trust me, they want you to get through efficiently and smoothly, be safe, be respectable through all construction zones, courtesy of GS Construction, as Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet joins us. Spec, how you doing?
What's going on, Jay? How's it talking a little hockey today? Have we torn that game down and put it back together yet?
Well, we talked a little bit, but to be honest, like it was a great atmosphere right from the get-go, which I said I would in Montreal, no surprise, probably the best atmosphere around. But it'd been a while, and like for a lot of the players, you could tell, like Connor McDavid, oh my goodness, in the first period, it was just like, he had the old boost button going quite often. And, unfortunately for Team Canada, he came away with the 1 assist on the power play. But, if you look back at the first 50 minutes of that game, that probably should have been up more than 2. And ultimately it ends up costing the game. Now they do win, but that instead of being up 3 points on Sweden, you're only up 1. And now there's still lots of potential outcomes that could happen in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, look at the other teams trying too, bud. Sweden's really good. Sure, you wish you got 3 points, but I thought Sweden, like, talk about being a road team. That was a tough atmosphere to go in there when you're Sweden. You get down 2-0. Like, everybody kind of had that game over. 3 points were in Canada's pocket. So, I give Sweden credit. They took that game back against a really good Canadian team in a very hostile building and, had every chance to win it in regulation themselves. So I guess it just shows you, right? There's a lot of good hockey teams out there. We don't have the only one anymore. Those days are long gone.
No, but Sweden never really controlled that game that I saw.
Oh, come on.
You thought that they had Canada on their heels?
Well, they had the puck for, I'd say, the back half of the second period and the first half of the third. They had the puck. Canada came down and had a couple of chances. But, yeah, I thought they controlled the game.
Really? Yeah. Well,
what were the shots? At one point, the shots were like 20-10 or something. And when the regulation ended, I believe Sweden had more shots on net than Canada.
Yeah, Canada, I thought Canada made the mistake, Spec, of doing what every team does in the third period, and they sat back. I know that I don't believe coaches teach it. It's such a mental thing. You're up 3-1, and I thought Canada sat back, and I didn't. I thought they played safe, and I don't care. When you play safe, usually you get burnt.
Yeah, I mean, like potato. Canada sat back or Sweden put them on their heels, right? One of the two. Sure, I think I'll agree with you. Canada kind of got into that, we're just not going to let you score anymore mode, and they couldn't, right? Sweden scored 2. So, I agree with you. They did, but don't discredit the yellow team, man. They were down. They had two goal deficits.
Twice, yes.
Yeah, two goal deficits, boy, on the road against Canada, against our best, and they pushed that game to overtime. Give them credit.
No, I give them credit. I just think it's more of a lost opportunity for Canada. I would say, in my eyes, I think you had that game in control and you didn't put it away when you had the opportunity, right? Like you had 2 goal leads, but you should have had a 3rd goal lead, I thought, especially in the first period. They were all over them. And, today in the NHL, 2 goal leads aren't what they used to be, right? Teams don't sit back and trap, thank God. But
well, we talked yesterday about what the score was going to be and how we wanted games where there was lead changes. And just 100%. Because you were ahead, right? Just because you're ahead, it doesn't mean the game's over. And that game had every bit of that stuff you were talking about yesterday.
Yeah, 100%. Now, what would you do, or what would you do? What do you think they're going to do in the goaltending department tomorrow night? Saturday.
I'm giving Hill a start. I'm giving him a chance to grab the reins. And I thought Binnington went in. It's funny. I don't usually try to repeat what I said on Carrie's show this morning, but for the rare chance I said something smart, so I'm gonna. It reminded me of a Skinner game last night, in that the guy makes, he lets in 3, but he makes a few saves at the end of the third and in overtime that absolutely saved that game for Canada. And we all woke up in the morning talking about the pucks that Binnington didn't save and not the ones that he did. And it reminded me quite a bit about of the way we talk about Skinner in this town. But to answer your question, I think Binnington had a chance to lock down that job and say, it's my gig, no one's taking it away from me. He didn't do that. Now Aiden Hill gets a chance to do that on Saturday night.
Yeah. So now I agree with you. I would go with Hill, but do you think they will?
Oh boy, I don't know. I mean, Cooper came out some time ago and said they're going to try to use one guy, but Binnington was good, and it's tricky. Like, that Kempe goal, to me, that goal's not on Binnington one bit. Unfortunately, that goal's on Drew Doughty. He had a lousy gap. Kempe absolutely read the fact that he could take one more stride and shoot through a screen. He did. He's a wicked sniper, Kempe. And Binnington doesn't see that puck till it's halfway there. And we're all going, oh, geez, Binnington, we like that save. No. Kempe's a world-class shooter, right? So I feel a little bit for Binnington. The only one nobody likes is that very first one that kind of waffled over his shoulder. But whatever, man. Swedes are a good team. So long story short, I don't know what they're going to do. I know what I'm doing. My first guy didn't seize the opportunity the way I wanted him to. The second guy gets a chance. What do you think Cooper will do? No kidding.
I honestly, I think they have to go to Hill. I do. You like, it's not like Binnington's your starter and Hill's your clear backup, right?
No,
like you brought these guys here, and I don't think Binnington, he played well in overtime, but he was the reason why they got to overtime. So I would make the change. I don't think Aiden Hill has done anything not to get a chance to start, because what if you lose that game against US, Spec? Now you have to beat Finland. You have to, and then you got to hope for some other help potentially. And now you're going to go to Aiden Hill. Like that's to me where it's like, I don't know. I think I would go to Hill, because then if he doesn't, then you can, even if he plays well or loses or whatever, then you can, okay, with both guys that played a game, now we can see who to go to. That's
so we agree. We agree. I think, like I say, the first guy didn't seize the opportunity, give the second guy a chance. I'm going to argue with you a little when you say he's the reason they got to overtime. I thought the Kempe goal, the second goal, I thought was absolutely not on Binnington. And the third goal, who scored it? Eriksson Ek. I mean,
yeah, he had no chance on that goal.
He has absolutely no chance on that goal. So he let in 3, and 2 of them, I personally see him as blameless. But whatever, man. Like, you know what? Linus Ullmark makes not Linus Ullmark. How about that? How about Linus Ullmark makes that save on Taves? That was one of the prettiest plays in the whole evening, that Connor McDavid puts it into Taves, kind of puts it into skates, and Taves still gets that puck on net. Made a really nice, skilled play.
Yeah, and Gustafsson. Yeah, no, Gustafsson, I thought.
Sorry, Gustafsson, not Ullmark. Excuse me. My mistake.
Sam Bennett, you putting him in against the US?
Yeah, I want Sam Bennett in the game. I think he should be part of this thing, and I don't think the fourth line really showed itself so well. Were they not on for 2 goals against, Jason?
Yeah, they were. The last goal that they were on for, though, I'm not sure. Parayko iced it where he wasn't really pressured, and he just got too much wood on it, I guess, or whatever. Composite on it. But off of that face-off, somehow Josh Morrissey ends up at the top of the circle on offense's own face-off. I don't understand it. So I don't really blame the wingers as much in the forwards, but I think Bennett falls into the same category to me as Hill. You brought 13 forwards. He wasn't clearly the obvious 13th. You're playing a bigger U.S. team. The game's probably going to be a bit more physical. And the one guy, if Sam Bennett, he doesn't care who he plays against. Him and Matthew Tkachuk might be good buddies. He will run over Tkachuk if he has to, and I firmly believe that. And that's why I would play him against the U.S.
Yeah, I love Sam Bennett as a player. I feel a little bit sorry for the Flames, because they made a really good draft pick, and they saw exactly what they wanted in a player. They saw this guy, right? They drafted a guy who should be able to score 25 and beat you up and hit and check and skate and be a real leader. And he never was that guy for Calgary. He just wasn't that guy. And then he goes to Florida. He turns into that guy. And now we're talking about how he should be playing for Team Canada. So yeah, Sam Bennett's on my team every day. That's all I got to say. But I do feel a little bit for the Flames. They kind of got ripped off on that player, don't you think?
Wow, ripped off or didn't maximize it. Who knows?
I don't know.
So it's always 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Maybe.
I thought, in Sam Bennett's case, I don't know if they necessarily used him the best at times. I would say that about him, but
like Vancouver drafted Vertan in 4th. It turns out he wasn't a very good player. He never played. Bad on Vancouver. Edmonton drafted Puljujarvi 4th. Pretty much the same thing, right? But Bennett's a really good player now. He just wasn't a really good player for Calgary. So I don't look at Calgary and say, you dummies, you made a bad draft pick, right? They made a pretty good draft pick.
No, they made a good pick. Yeah. No, they definitely did, for sure. Speaking of picks and such, there's lots of rumblings about trade rumors. Spec, I would say no for the Oilers. I don't think Ryan Donato adds anything that they don't have. I think it's more of the same, and I don't think that's good. There's other names out there. Brad Marchand, I think it's a very whisper, but man, I'd take Brad Marchand for sure if I was Edmonton.
Every day.
The Noah Dobson trade rumor, I find quite interesting. Now, I look at Edmonton and I say, okay, long-term, can you fit Dobson and Bouchard, right? They're both right defense. They both need contracts. They're both probably going to get significant raises. But if you're the Oilers, if Dobson actually was available, it's going to have to cost you a lot, I would think, right? Why would the Islanders do it? Like, I don't understand. Like, something's got, maybe he's just like, I want to get out of here because Lou just does the same thing every year and we're not good. So I don't know, maybe that's it. But do you think like now would be the time to go after Dobson, or does that make no sense for Edmonton when you look at assets and then future contracts?
It only makes sense to me if you know and you're sure that you can keep this asset. If you can if he doesn't come with term like Matthias Ekholm did, but you gave up a ton for Ekholm knowing we can afford to keep this player. He's going to be part of us for a while here. And in Ekholm's case, you're hoping for a really long while. So yes, if you got room for him and you know what he's asking for, you can keep him. No, if he's a rental, he's going to be too expensive as a rental. And I think he would use up most of what Edmonton has at the deadline just to get one defenseman. I would say no as a rental. Jay, what about you?
Yeah, like I think if you're trading for Dobson, you're trading to keep him, right? Because he is an RFA, he's not a UFA, right? So you'd still retain his rights. So because he's in the same boat as Bouchard. So I would. If Noah Dobson actually is available, Spec, I would take a long, hard look. And I think Noah Dobson's really good. And I think he's only going to get better. And I think to get a young defenseman like that, historically, you end up getting the best player without having to give up a whole bunch in return. Like, you give up lots of picks and whatever, but stuff that for the most part doesn't end up being better. If Dobson was legitimately available, I'd take a long, hard look at it if I was standing.
Yeah, fair enough. He's a very good player. I'm not saying he's not. I would question where he fits into your salary cap next year, but smarter people than us will figure that out.
Hey, you can worry about that. You kind of worry, hey, we got to go to the playoffs. I know you always have to kind of have your hand in both pots, but you know what? You can always worry about that in the off season, kind of see how he fits in, and you know what? Maybe make another big trade or something else. But if I could get him and the cost wasn't, it's not like I'm like, oh my God, we'll have no other assets to ever make a trade for the next two deadlines, I'd still do it.
Well, I'm only worried about this deadline. Like, I'm only talking to you about, whatever happens next deadline, we'll get there. But right now, this team to me needs two things. They do need a defenseman, but they need some help up front. They need a second line player that can push somebody down into their third line, like a guy like Arvidsson or somebody. They need some size. They need the right guy up top. Now, Marchand's different. If he was available, obviously he doesn't come with size, but we all know how he plays. But to me, don't tell me that you're bringing home a home run on defense and you're not getting anything up front. I'd be worried about that. I think they need a little depth up front, they need some size and they need some tenacity here. Trent Frederick type of player would, to me, be a really good ad for Edmonton. Right?
100%. Oh, buddy, yeah, for sure. Like, they need some grit on their wings right now. They don't have a lot.
They do. Yep. You only got so much cap space, and there's a bunch of people listening to this show right now saying, "What about the goalie? I thought you got to get a goalie." So you can't get everything here, right? You can't get everything, so you got to prioritize.
Yeah, I'm not one who thinks they need a goalie, so I wouldn't be on that train. But some do, and that's fine. If we all had the same opinion, it'd be boring. So,
you gonna watch USA and Finland tonight?
Yeah, I will. I won't watch it with the same excitement as I did last night, but yeah, I'll be intrigued. I'm you know what? The Finns, God, they always compete, but I look at their defense score and I just don't see how they can compete shift after shift in this tournament. I can't see it.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for sure. Excuse me. I got to say before we go here that, we waited for best on best for a long time. And like to see the level the game was played at last night, the pedigree of that hockey, like it was unbelievably high. It was so many good players. Like it was today's speed and the puck was snapping around. Like I know era adjustment is hard. I'm here to tell you, Jason, if that team could travel back in time to the Canada Cup and play the 1987 team, because they're bigger, stronger, faster, and shoot the puck better, they beat them, in my opinion, quite handily. Like this is as good. That was as good a display of the sport of hockey as I've seen in ages last night. It was so well played, man. There's probably 150 guys in the NHL that if you threw in that game, they'd get exposed as guys that couldn't do it. That's how high the level was for me. What about you?
Oh, I you know what? I loved it. And I'm not surprised. Like this is every time I've seen World Cups, Canada Cups, this is how it is. So I guess some people forget, but I'm like, I don't see how you could forget. Go watch the tapes. Every time I watch those tapes, like I don't have to watch any tape to remember how excited I was as a fan in 87. Yeah. I remember the 96 one. The Olympics, when you get past the play-in rounds, like the best guys ratchet up. It's great hockey. And even with the decimated blue line, I think Finland's going to be competitive. I don't doubt that. I'm not sure they'll have enough to win the game, but we'll see. And then you get to USA Canada, man. Like I just can't wait. Like I haven't been that excited about a game in a long time, right? Like, this has to me like Stanley Cup final excitement heading into the game like that. It's a big deal. And the difference is the skill set overall on both teams is higher. But, what's on the line isn't as much. I agree with that.
Sure.
As a game 7 of Stanley Cup or Stanley Cup final. But the skill set of the teams on Saturday, Canada, US, is something that, you don't see very often. You get to see it in the Olympics the odd time. And, but even then, sometimes the final isn't always isn't Canada, USA, right? Big rivalry game. It just isn't. So I can't wait for Saturday, man. I've been saying this I was in on this the minute they announced it. I was like, I don't care how many teams are in it. I don't care that, Russia's not here. Yeah, I know why they're not here, and they don't deserve to be here. So I don't care that they're not here. And the fact that these 4 teams are here, I'm loving it. So yeah, every game, all 7 of them, I'll be enjoying.
Yeah, it sure beats a hell out of an all-star game, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it's like the all-star game is like a beer league game, and I don't expect it to be anything more. So, but yeah, these games are. Hey, this game beats an average Saturday night hockey night in Canada game. Let's call it.
Hey, right? Make no mistake, right?
Yeah.
Make no mistake. Either of those teams last night, if you put them through an 82 game season, and I'm talking Sweden, even they could well win the Stanley Cup, right? Like that team Canada.
Win
the Stanley Cup, no problem. Team USA. Win the Stanley Cup, no problem. That's how good the hockey is. So yeah, it's. I guess we forget. It's been so long. Like I know, I certainly fielded the question on a couple of radio shows about, do you think they'll play hard? And do you think it'll be as good as the Olympics? And we talked about it and we chewed on it. And I came down on once those guys start playing, they're going to play the win side. But we forget look at vintage Crosby last night. Like just an opportunity to see vintage Crosby. And then when he hopped into the bench, Connor McDavid came over the boards, played more than any other forward, I believe. Like, who doesn't want to watch that, man? Come on.
Oh, it's great. I can't wait, man. I'll be looking forward to tonight. Tonight's another little appetizer until the big, actually Sweden, Finland on Saturday. You kidding me? I think like that rivalry's great.
Good too.
Yeah. So all the Finns, it'll be prime time over in Europe too for them. So that'll be great. So
all right, man.
Okay, Spec, have a good one.
All right.
That's Mark Spector, the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. Now, when we come back, we'll talk to another guy, fiery guy, as they start to build the team, and you're seeing more and more pieces put in place. Talk about it next on The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Introducing the Female Super League. Female hockey is on the rise with more women playing the game than ever. Join us as we pave the way for the future of women's hockey. The FSL is more than a game. It's a movement and an experience for the motivated female athlete. Teams will compete in a showcase-style format featuring consistent interprovincial competition. Come be part of the journey as the 2024-25 season unveils a 12U division, as well as the launch of a groundbreaking progressive body-checking 14U division. For more information, visit femalesuperleague.com.
Hockey is back. And Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
It's the final weekend of the Bricks Friends and Family Sale. Get up to 25% off sofas, love seats, and sectionals. Up to 25% off bedroom and dining. Buy more, save more. Up to $1,000 off major kitchen appliances. And save up to $500 on big screen TVs. Plus, upgrade your sleep with a queen mattress for the price of a twin. Last chance to save like their friends and family. Some exclusions apply. Visit thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Your courtside seat awaits on Sports 1440. I'm Paul Sir, and I host the basketball show every Saturday morning from 10 to noon on Edmonton's sports leader, Sports 1440. Don't miss it. I'll catch you this weekend.
From the casinos of Vegas to the bingo halls of Leduc, everybody wants a piece of Lady Luck. And what thanks do I get? It's like I don't even...
There's no such thing as luck. If you gamble, use your game sense. Visit GameSenseAB.ca.
Tonight, I'm gonna have myself a real good time. I feel alive.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. This week at Papa John's, you can enjoy a medium 2-topping pizza and a choice of dessert for only $25.99. Use code LOVEDAY at papajohns.ca or through the Papa John's app.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$5:28. Welcome back. Busy Thursday, man. It feels like we just got on air. 3.5 hours can fly right by. I hope you're having a great day on your way home. And you know what the great part is? It's 5:28 now? Still light out. Love it, baby. The days are getting longer in central Alberta. Fantastic. Northern Alberta, wherever you think we're at, wherever you're listening at. So it's nice out. Very nice. And it's only going to get brighter by the day, which is fantastic. Let's get to our CFL report now, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where the rates never change. If all of a sudden tonight or on the weekend your furnace conks out, they'll service you 24/7, no overtime charges. That's how you'll build a legacy at legacyheating.ca. Head coach of the Edmonton Elks, who have been very busy in free agency, Mark Killam, joins us once again. Coach, welcome back to the show, my man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
So, Mark, take us through, yourself and Ed Hervey and, how much say, like, obviously, the GM picks teams, but you want guys that the coach likes in football somewhat. How much input did you have? How much of a collaborative effort was this free agency?
It was collaborative. I mean, everything we're doing is collaborative. We're trying to base it on the strength of the collective of, everybody's strengths around here. But, Ed is the driving the ship. He has his vision. He asked for input in the style of football we're going to play, the type of football players that fit those systems, the type of people that we want to have in the building. And then him and his personnel staff come up with the plan, and then the coaches fill out their role in that plan, and then we go from there.
So
it was a win for sure.
Yeah. Well, you guys, I don't know if it was just coincidence or not. Obviously, we heard from Jake Serezna on the show yesterday and other guys, they're huge fans of Demetrius Maxey, your special teams coordinator, defensive line coach. And they obviously wanted to come and work with him. And, you bring in like three guys from the same line. You bring in the safety from Toronto. You bring in Ford from Winnipeg, all guys who have won the Grey Cup in the last 2 years, have been in the Grey Cups. That was obviously an added bonus, I would think, to the players. Do you think they could be as a coach? How easier is it going to be to have a winning culture when you're bringing in so many guys who have won recently and are still, it's not like you're bringing in veteran old guys who are just holding on. These are guys that are, still some young players in the case of Ford who have already won and know what it takes to win.
Yeah, I think culture is something that you work on every single day. You just can't assume things are going to happen a certain type of way, but certainly bringing in players of that character and their experience, their championship experience, they know what it takes to win. They know what type of work you need to do in order to achieve those results, and they're going to live it on a day-to-day. And the other thing about those guys is they hold teammates accountable as well, which is accountability is probably number one in culture. And living in a day-to-day winning program. And, certainly it helps it helps us. We have to still, reinforce it with our actions. And, but definitely those are the type of people that you want in the building, but no doubt.
Looking at kind of where you're at now, Coach, are still a few areas, like obviously, there's going to be some American players signed to this roster. They're going to make the team and be difference makers. And, there's a lot of questions, people wondering, hey, there's not a ton of proven experience on the receiving core. How do you approach that? And what's the plan at the receiving core?
Well, we signed Stephen Dunbar today. So that was a win. A guy that, big body target, has experience, can learn a system, is a very hard worker. So he'll fit in, and obviously a guy that knows this city. He's been here before. But that's every year in the CFL, Jason. There's guys that have that get opportunities and become the next guy. And, that's what, we're going to have a competitive training camp. We're going to emphasize, trying to do things the right way. And certain guys that can find their stride and fit into what we're trying to do are going to get opportunities. And, look at a guy like Justin Rankin last year. The guy was released and then came back.
Yes.
And took advantage of an opportunity, and now is the number one tailback on the football team. So it's there's guys every year that find roles. They just need to take advantage of the opportunity, and I'm excited to see who those guys are once we get into training camp.
Looking at special teams, Javon Leake was a special teams player of the year before he came to Edmonton and didn't really get used lots. Mark, you have a very strong special teams background. You're being, considered, one of the best special teams coaches. Safe to say we're going to see Javon Leake as your main return guy this year?
Yeah, he's going to be he's a playmaker. He's got to get his touches both on offense and on special teams. We want to be a three-phase football team. We're going to be a three-phase football team. I'll just tell you that right now. We're looking for guys. I call them two-phase players that can contribute either on offense and special teams or defense and special teams. Whatever that role is, we want them to find a role. We know what type of player Leake is. The guy is explosive. He's a different kind of animal when he's back there in space. And I'm excited for that. Part of the contract negotiations when they went on with him, we're talking about using him in the return game again. And, we'll have a plan and all those things, but it's somebody that is explosive with the ball in their hand, and we want to create explosive plays. That's going to happen.
Yeah. It just makes perfect sense. Like the guy's, it's a weapon, and the importance of special teams, especially in the CFL. The one thing that free agency has done for you, Mark, has really created flexibility up and down your lineup. You got lots of starters, legit starters, not just Canadians, but legit starters. Now, you talk pretty passionately about wanting to give Canadians an opportunity to not be pigeonholed into just certain positions, start guys anywhere. But when you have that flexibility, how can you use it to your advantage with the new rules in how, like the snap count and everything like that?
Yeah, I mean it's basically an algorithm in itself. I actually dislike that the way that they do that, but we're going to find ways to take advantage of that. But just to your point about Canadians getting opportunities, that's kind of this whole roster. I mean, it's we've got impact nationals across the board, both at traditional and non-traditional positions. But it opens up flexibility to say, if we lose one, we can just go to an American, or if we lose. We have options at the kicker position. We have options. I mean, if in an emergency situation, we could bring an American long snapper in if we lost one, just because there isn't a ton of Canadians. You know what I mean? So it gives you flexibility where, one challenge to an injury somewhere doesn't derail what you're trying to do, and you have the flexibility to overcome that in game and obviously the next week.
Mark Killam joins us, head coach of the Edmonton Elks, who have been very busy in free agency, filling out the lineup. Mark, can you kind of give us now that you got the majority of the roster set? Obviously, I know there'll still be some new additions and some other things. Kind of what's the next few weeks look like? I guess like how much input do you have in the CFL draft, or do you kind of leave that to the scouts and management?
No, I mean, well, right now what's going on is we got our full staff is in town. So we've been kind of grinding. Like, we're all still here actually right now. I just got out of a 3-hour pressure defensive meeting, and we were talking some pressures, but it's been exciting all week. We've got these guys in here working together for the first time, and I've kind of been flipping back and forth between the meetings. But tomorrow we're going to have a meeting with Ed and the personnel department to go through the draft and the expectations with that and all those type of things. I mean, there's people on our coaching staff from 4 different teams right now. So all 4 of those teams a year ago, had their coaches involved in varying levels of engagement with the draft. I know in Calgary we were heavily involved in the draft, and on other teams not so much. So I think we'll find out that plan tomorrow. But when it comes to the combine, myself and both coordinators and our O-line coach Steven Sorrells will be there. We've got Danny Nesbitt is actually coaching at the combine. He's one of the coaches that's going to be coaching the draft eligible guys in the workouts. So I mean, we're gonna be involved on that level, and then the kind of gearing up for the draft after that in training camp. But I mean, things are exciting. They're happening here. This hallway is filled with life, which is awesome. The coaching hallway here, it's not just 3 doors open; it's all of them, and pieces are coming together. It was a great day this week, these last couple of days, to have the free agents that we signed, and now we're just kind of building towards camp.
I spoke to Trey Ford. He said, he's obviously, been meeting with the offensive coordinator often. Mark, without giving away a lot of things, he said, he still doesn't, like you got the basic stuff in. When you start to build an offense and do you build it just around Trey Ford's strengths, or do you build it around the offense you think that can win and with Trey Ford's strengths in mind?
I think that with the latter, but you also start from scratch. You know what I mean? You start from, every new offense has its own language. You start from the very basics of the offense. You start with the footwork and the timing and all those type of things that you need. And then you take what Trey does well, but you also take what everybody else does well. I mean, those 2 backs that we have, we mentioned Rankin and Leak. I mean, those guys are playmakers. They're a strength of the offense.
Yeah.
You take a look at, how where we're playing the Canadians in the receiver position, how we can affect mismatches, that type of thing. I think that's where you start. You start with the basics. You get Trey comfortable with, the language and how he's calling it, and then you get his input into what he likes, and you just start building from there. And I think that relationship with Jordan and him, and also Cody is involved in those Zooms right now. So I think that's great. But, it's part of them getting to know each other, what each other likes, how they would like to call the game, how Trey how he likes to go through his progressions, how Jordan wants him to go through his progressions. It's all those things. And that's what the off season is for. And that's, I'm excited that they're both going to be in town, so it doesn't have to be on Zoom all the time. Jordan's moving here very shortly, so that's exciting. And, just really starting from scratch.
Well, Mark, look forward to it. And I know you have a lot of green and gold fans that are pretty excited about all the changes that have occurred here. And now, obviously, people just wait to get on the field. I'm sure same with you.
I know. I'm glad they're excited. The momentum is real, and we're going to continue building through the draft and toward training camp.
Awesome, Mark. Thanks for your time, man. Enjoy it.
Thank you for having me.
Mark Killam, the head coach of the Green and Gold, and they've had a good offseason. But good offseason is only good if it leads to a good season. Right? It happens all look at the NHL. Oh, this team won free agency. Whatever. Winning free agency doesn't mean a whole bunch unless it results in victories on the field or on the ice or on the court. And so the Elks have, they revamped their defensive line. They've revamped their secondary, made some additions to their offensive line. They locked up their quarterback long-term. They brought in a whole new coaching staff, president, GM. They made a lot of changes. And there's lots of arrows pointing up. But now those arrows pointing up have to lead to W's. Not all the time, but definitely more W's than the organization has seen in recent years. We'll come back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, wrap things up on a busy Thursday edition of the Gregor Show. We got a lot of texts about the orders, some trade talk. We'll get to that when we return.
JobSite Workwear has been your #1 locally owned work and safety store for 20 years. And we're your #1 spot for Timberland Pro. From work-ready gear to the ultimate winter boots, the 1,000-gram Boondog. JobSite Workwear has Edmonton's largest selection of Timberland Pro. Come discover your local workwear provider with 3 city locations.
JobSite Workwear, tough different jobs.
Planning for your future. Vision Credit Union makes it simple with 2 RRSP options to fit your goals. Choose a secure term deposit RRSP with guaranteed returns or a mutual fund RRSP offering higher growth potential with exciting opportunities. With an RRSP, you'll save on your 2024 taxes, grow your investments tax-free, and get closer to your dreams, whether it's retirement or your first home. Don't wait. The deadline to qualify for 2024 tax deductions is March 3rd. Learn more at visioncu.ca.
Miss golf during the off-season? Of course you do. So head to the Leduc Golf Club and try their state-of-the-art golf simulators. Perfect your swing, enjoy delicious food and beverages, and even book a lesson with one of the Leduc Golf Club pros. Whether you're a seasoned golfer or just starting, the Leduc Golf Club simulators offer a great way to keep your game sharp any time of the year. Call or visit the Leduc Golf Club today to book your spot and swing into action all year round.
A Tim's Donut and Coffee is the original collab. And now, any classic donut is $1 when you buy any size original or dark roast coffee. Get a deal on the iconic duo with a Tim's dollar donut, plus tax at participating restaurants for limited time. Terms apply. See app for details.
Hair Aware with Dr. Vance Elliott.
Hey, Dr. Vance, does a hair transplant have to look like a hair transplant? There's a guy at work, his is totally obvious. My goal is to give every one of my patients a full, natural-looking head of hair, so I stay up to date on the latest innovations. This is science, and more importantly, an art. I do things differently and move more hair than is normally done, resulting in a thicker look that is also more natural.
Trust a world-renowned expert in hair restoration. Book an appointment at drvanceelliott.com today.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Can Torque. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantorque.com.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back, Jason Gregor Show, alongside Connor Halley on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you're having a wonderful day. If you are watching the game tonight, Matthews with Gensel and Hughes, Eichel with Matthew Tkachuk and Kyle Connor, Miller with Boldy and Brady Tkachuk, Trocheck will center Larkin and Nelson, which means Chris Kreider gets the night off. Werenski and McAvoy, Slavin and Fox, Hanifin and Faber. And, of course, Connor Hellebuck in goal tonight for the U.S. Team Finland. We'll have a Barkov between Lehkonen and Rantanen. Sebastian Aho between Laine and Rupe Hintz. So Hintz playing the wing. You got Lundell with Luosterainen and Granlund. Then a Holla with Armia and Teravainen. Like, their forward group's pretty solid. I like their forward group. But then on defense, Esa Lindell, Nico Mikkola. You've got Nicholas Mantanpalo with Vakinen. And then Oli Mata is now playing with Henry Jokiharju. Now, they're going to be their second pair for sure. But, like, their third pair, I'm curious how many minutes they play tonight, honestly. Mantanpalo, he's an AHL player at this stage of his career, right? He's 26, I think, now. Doesn't have a ton of NHL experience. But that is going to be that I'll be curious about how many minutes they get. That, to me, is going to be the game within the game to watch tonight for Team Finland. And it should be fun, though, because you know what? It's just, hey, obviously Canadian fans are rooting a little bit here for Finland for sure. I don't see how you wouldn't be, right? Your odds of beating Finland are higher than your odds of beating U.S. It's just how it is. Plus, the U.S. your biggest rival. And you know what? Imagine if Finland somehow upsets the U.S. tonight. Canada could knock U.S. out of the tournament with a win on Saturday. Juicy, I tell you, juicy. If that's a possibility. So there you go. Would be good. It would be fantastic. Now, do I think it's going to happen? No. I would pick the USA to win, but that would be an unreal upset. That's why you watch the games, baby. That's why you watch the games. Hey guys, I have to say, the more I listen to the coach, the more excited I am for the upcoming CFL season. Of course, I'm not overlooking the NHL. It's just nice as a fan of all the teams to be excited about the Elks for the first time in a long time. That comes from Doug, Klaus, and Beaumont. Boys, coach has me excited for the season. Yeah, hey, Killam's got a lot of passion, man. So does Ed Hervey. So does Chris Morris. You get those guys. We might have to get them in on a panel at one point, and it would be it could be fun because they are all super passionate in different ways, and I think from president to GM to coach, that's the one thing they have: compatibility and passion. And they're all big on how they treat people. That's something they've talked about that they really want to have in the organization, and that'll go a long way for players. Right now, they've got the facility. They just up. Now, this hasn't been talked about a lot. It was mentioned yesterday, but they've revamped their weight room and made it even better. And those little details, they matter. I'm telling you, they matter. When you have free agents in the or players in the NHL who come to Edmonton and they see their facility and they talk to guys and they're just like, this facility is unreal, right? That's where they train. That's where they do a lot of their stuff. You hang out. It makes a big difference because that's where that's where their job is, right? Like, when I go to my job, if you got a nice office, those are little things that matter, right? You're going to live in Edmonton. Like, yeah, it's going to be cold sometimes. So what? Everybody knows that. It's not a shock. Like, we live here full time. Do I love it when it's minus 30? No, of course not. But there's way more positive weather days than there are negative weather days. And so that's kind of what I focus on. So it'll be great. Hey, Greg, if Kane isn't ready until the playoffs, how good can he be? Do you think the Oilers need another physical player in case Kane can't really contribute? Well, I don't think it's fair to think Evander Kane would be like a freedom fighter and he's going to be the only physical forward you have. Even if he was 100% healthy, I would still say if Kane was healthy today and been playing all year, I'd still say the Oilers could add another player with a little bit of edge in their forward group. I firmly believe that. Now, having Kane would significantly lower the need for it, for sure. But there's still a need for it. Make no mistake. The Oilers don't have enough physicality in their forward group, specifically on the wings for me. You got McDavid, you got Draisaitl. Like those guys, they are competitive enough, and they put the fear of God in you enough as an opposing player. That's how they intimidate. But look at the Oilers wingers. So Corey Perry, he's got an edge. He's probably in the playoffs, your fourth line guy. And he might not even be an everyday guy. The way he's playing, I get it. But speed of the game, everything, he might not be there every game. So then you look at, now Zach Hyman plays hard. I have no problem with him. Other than that, though, look at your left side right now. Podkolzin can be physical, sure. But Kapanen, Skinner, Nugent Hopkins, Janmark, Brown. They're all kind of same in that style of the game. Like, obviously have different speed, passing, shooting skill set. I understand it. Penalty killers, I get it. But none of them are overly physical. And I think you need a little bit more of it in your lineup. If it's me, that's what I would be looking at. Hey, Greggs, how realistic do you think Brad Marchand rumors are? It's a really good question. I would say it's a very low percent chance. It's a very low percent chance. But because, now the Bruins, you know what? They've lost a lot. Like Chara retired, Krejci retired, Bergeron retired, Jake DeBrusk moved on. Like they've lost a lot of their core pieces here lately. Now, I don't know, like Brad Marchand, that's all he knows is the Boston Bruins organization. Now, is he, as cemented? He's a big face of a player on that team, but he's not Crosby to Pittsburgh, right? It's a little bit different. So maybe Brad Marchand is thinking, you know what? Maybe I want to try something different. And the Boston Bruins currently are not a playoff team, but they're far from out of it. They got 60 points. And they're 1 point back of Detroit. They're 2 points back of Ottawa. Now, Ottawa has one game in hand. Detroit has 2. The Blue Jackets also have 60 points. The Rangers have 58. So 3 of those 5 teams are going to miss the playoffs. And, how serious did the Bruins look at their chances? Right? Don Waddell said he's looking to add. I think Steve Yzerman and the Red Wings, there's no chance they're selling. Same with the Ottawa Senators. The Rangers have already just acquired Miller. Like, they made a big splash. So if you're the Boston Bruins, you could make a move maybe. I don't know how big of a swing you want to take. Like, your team's not that good. So I don't know. Like, I honestly, I don't really have a good feel at all, even from talking to a few people that are much closer to the Boston Bruins, on what's the direction of the organization? Where are they going? They don't have a ton of young prospects because they've been the winningest team in the league for 20 years. No one's won more than the Bruins. I think it actually might be 30 years. So they've been very good for a long, long time. And they're not bad by any stretch, but they're not they're trending down from where they were. They're in a little bit of now maybe they just want to be a retooling because they've got Pasternak, right? When you got I don't think you can just go scorched earth. They got Charlie McAvoy, Hampus Lindholm. Now him being hurt, that hurts their team, right? I like their defense core. Zadorov, Carlo, Lindholm, and McAvoy. If that's your top 4 and they're all under contract for a minimum 2 more years, it's pretty good decor. Where the Bruins need help is up front. The Elias Lindholm contract does not work. I don't think it's ever going to work. I think it's only going to get worse, right? So Brad Marchand he's 36 though. So could you move Brad Marchand now thinking that, his best days probably behind him? Yeah, I think you could. And you might do him a favor to say, Brad, you've done a lot for the organization. Where do you want to go? And if the orders are well, they've called, and you're Brad Marchand, you might be like, I play in Canada. I'm going to go to Edmonton. I'm not going to be looked at as a top dog. I'm not going to be looked at as a second top dog. Heck, I might not be looked in the top 3 or 4. Right? But he fits in. If Brad Marchand became available, I'd have lots of interest in him if it's me. Did he look out of place last night? Not at all. I would have lots of interest in Brad Marchand if they actually are going to make a deal. Hey, Gregor, what about bringing Klim Kostin back? Walnuts in the park. He's not reliable enough defensively, man. I know Klim Kostin was a great bulk hero at time in Edmonton. Tough, physical, good shot. Didn't play a lot of minutes because he's not reliable enough defensively. I think there'd be very low chance that he'd be a guy. Plus, even at half retained, he's $1 million player, so it's a little too high. So I don't think Klim Kostin will be coming back to Edmonton. Got some good money, great for him, but it's never really fit anywhere else. On behalf of Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, I'm Jason Gregor. Enjoy US and Finland tonight. We'll talk. We got a great lineup for tomorrow. I'm already pumped for tomorrow's show. We'll see what happens tonight. Could there be an upset, or we'll be talking Canada? How do they match up? We'll find out tomorrow probably who's going to be starting in goal. Bennett, where he's playing, and more. So we'll get to all that. Let's get to the Con Man and Sports 1440 update brought to you by Ewell, your partner in power since 1975. For all your electrical gear, there's one stop. Shop there all the time. EWEL.ca. Good night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Four Nation face-off rolls on tonight. We're about 10 minutes away from puck drop as Finland takes on the United States. Some news, Chris Kreider, Jake Sanderson sitting out for the U.S. On the Finnish side, Capo Kakko not expected to play. Mikko Rantanen will play, but did not practice earlier on in the association. We've got 5 games tonight getting going at 6. The Rockets host the Warriors, Kings in New Orleans, Mavericks take on the Heat, Thunder battle the Timberwolves, and the Jazz taking on the Clippers. In the PWHL, after 20 minutes, Ottawa and Minnesota tied at 2 apiece. From the CFL, the Edmonton Elks bringing back American wide receiver Stephen Dunbar. He was a part of the squad back in 2023. Last season with Hamilton, he set career highs in receptions and receiving yards. And from the NFL, the New York Jets announcing today that they've moved from Aaron Rodgers. He will not be with the team next season. That'll do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Coming up next, we've got Fox Sports Radio. Local coverage resumes tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. on the Kevin Carius Show. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeart